Well, that's.
Petitioner here?
I came up.
He gets 5 minutes.
My podium, that little stool that's down there in the corner is mine. I came up here, this was set up.
People need to talk about. Fireworks were invented, yeah, 17. Yeah, so yeah, like if he'll give his spiel, but someone's got to ask him to explain what the purpose is. And even still, I'm like,
He doesn't show. We don't. He thinks we should just make a motion pass all day. Show it. Just change.
People in the town, they turn out to vote, but they don't turn out to this.
meeting is adjourned and you're done.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
You'll have acted on it.
After the fact.
So you met the statutory requirement, but you need to actually.
You can go to the people written that way.
I'll,
I guess, yeah, it's gonna mean nothing if it passes. That's the thing.
and attach it to this. It's available.
So unless he's here and we can amend it,
So that it's, the voters can vote for it, but it's not binding on the selectmen. That may be the better pathway.
Yes.
Wait, Sam,
Something
turn off.
about that nobody can make sense of.
Thanks.
The will of the people.
Fine.
Yes.
Then like, you've got a legal battle over, what are we trying to do?
No, that's,
I got some, I mean, I don't know.
wait.
I mean,
You did? Oh, good. Yeah.
hey, sorry, to introduce myself. Jim O'Shaughnessy. I work with Stephen.
Running this meeting. the moderator.
School district council too.
He's pumping what water? He said he was gonna be. He's right back in down the wall and. That's good stuff. Yeah, that's good stuff. I put in that.
Hello, hello, there we go.
As long as they're not changing the purpose, so they can say, whatever, they can amend it. And I would rather have it.
They have that.
Everyone understands what they're voting on when they're talking about it.
Okay.
Then it exists in its correct, because no one's gonna look at the meeting minutes, no one's gonna know. Yeah, Nicole has to stand alone from the principal.
It's a noble cause and.
They make it, and that's all right, that's what I've done.
Max, are we good? Are we good, Max? Okay,
It's these, the voters get to decide what the question is. They
everybody please take their seats.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it.
On this wonderful cold morning. As people are still wandering in, one gale.
Just switch the signs. You wanted me.
Keep me warm.
How you doing, buddy?
Take you get your coffee?
That was true.
That might be a bad thing.
Today.
Brought the dumpster, good, good man.
Yeah.
Everything else is-
Yeah, but she told me about.
I'm debating it now, and I said, that's.
Recording in progress.
At the time,
If he gets elected, well, let's say.
yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, surprise.
Where do you live?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rick Dill. I'm the town moderator. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Wait till these people get in. To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Excuse me. I apologize. I tried to get somebody to do an invocation. That falls on me. It was a little bit late. I couldn't get anybody. So, that being said, I'd just like to say the following, if I may. I'd like to let us pause for a moment of reflection. Today, we come together as neighbors and stewards of the town of Wakefield, grateful for the community we share and mindful of the responsibility before us today. May we approach this deliberative session with patience, good judgment, and respect. Let us listen with open minds, speak honestly, and treat one another with courtesy, especially when we disagree. May we focus on what serves the common good, protects the most vulnerable among us, and strengthens Wakefield for years ahead. We also recognize and appreciate those who serve our town every day, our first responders, public works team, educators, town staff, and volunteers. May they be supported, encouraged, and kept safe. With that spirit, let's begin this meeting with unity and a purpose of commitment and thoughtfulness and fair decisions. I thank you for your time. So now for some introductions. Of course, to my left, Town Clerk Valerie Ward. Dino Scala, the Town Administrator, is down there next to, in the middle of the table. We also have town representative counsel for the town of Wakefield is Jim O'Shaughnessy next to Dino. Chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Charlie Edwards, and fellow board members, Mark Duffy and Teresa Williams. Chairman of the Budget Committee, Jerry O'Connor. And at this time, I would like to ask the Budget Committee to introduce themselves, starting from my far left.
Hi, I'm Bob Olette, School Board Rep.
Josh Fuller.
Mark Telefaro.
Scott Gaudet.
Tom Daniels, Vice Chair.
Jerry O'Connor, Chairman.
Connie Twombly.
John Parker.
Thank you very much. As has been mentioned, this is the town of Wakefield's deliberative session, a time when we will review the town's warrant, which will be voted on at the town hall on Tuesday, March 10th, 2026, with the polls opening at 8 a.m. and closing at 7 p.m. At this point, all registered voters should have blue and red voting cards and a yes or no sheet to be used for the secret ballot. All non-registered Wakefield residents, Wakefield members, please be seated at the far bleacher on the side to my left. By default, only registered voters may make any motions and vote. However, I would ask the registered voters if they would like to allow non-residents and non-registered attendees to speak during discussion, understanding that they may only speak and may not make a motion or a vote. So is there a motion to allow non-residents, non-registered attendees to speak in the discussions but not vote? Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
That was a tough call.
So we'll begin. Please observe these rules of order. I ask that you rise and move to the podium in the center when recognized. Please state your name and at least for the first time that you speak. The person who has the floor is not to be interrupted. Please limit your remarks to 5 minutes. Sometimes people have a hard time hearing who is speaking, so please use the microphone at the podium each time you speak. You will be allowed to speak a second time after all have had a chance to speak. If you're speaking on an issue for the second time, you might be limited to 2 minutes. Please direct your remarks to the chair and refrain from a back and forth debate with another person. Any request for a secret ballot must be made by 5 or more people who are present and be in writing. We have forms for this request and we'll make them available to you. A motion to reconsider a vote must be made immediately following the subject discussion and before moving on to the next article. All amendments must be submitted to the moderator in writing. No more than one amendment may be on the floor at any given time. At this time, I would like to recognize Assistant Town Moderator Phil Twombly with the traditional Bill Twombly motion on adjournment.
Morning, Mr. Moderator.
Morning, sir.
Mr. Moderator, I move that this session of the town warrant be adjourned by 12 noon today and that no article be taken up for consideration after 11:50 a.m. In the event that all articles in the warrant have not been acted upon, the moderator is authorized to convene this session at a date, time, and place which meets the approval of the majority of the voters present.
Thank you. We need a motion, a second for that? A
Second.
second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Phil. Motion carries. I will now read the 2026 town warrant. However, before I do, I have one important note that I want to bring up before we start. Articles 2 through 11 are required to follow state regulations and are not subject to amendment at this deliberative session. You are absolutely welcome to ask questions for clarification on any of those articles. However, we cannot modify them. They have had their own public hearings and they are, again, mandated by the state. With that understanding, is everyone comfortable if we move through the articles 2 through 11 and pass them as presented, unless there's question for clarification? So is there a motion to recommend articles 2 through 11 as presented?
So moved.
Seconded.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, to the inhabitants of the town of Wakefield in the state of New Hampshire qualified to vote in town affairs, you are hereby notified of the first and second session of the 2026 annual town meeting as follows. First session, you are notified to meet for the first session of the annual town meeting to be held at the Town Hall Opera House, 2 High Street, Sanbornville, New Hampshire on Saturday, January 31st, 2026 at 9 a.m. The first session will consist of explanation, discussion, and debate on each of the following warrant articles and will afford those voters who are present the opportunity to debate, purpose, and adopt amendments for each warrant article, except those articles whose wording is prescribed by state law. Second session, you are also notified to meet for the second session of the annual town meeting to elect town officers by official ballot and to vote by official ballot on the warrant articles as may be amended at the first session. To be held at the Opera House in the town of Wakefield, 2 High Street, Sanbornville, New Hampshire on Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. Polls for voting by official ballot will be open at 8 a.m. and close at 7 p.m. unless town votes to keep the polls open to a later hour. Article 1, choose all necessary town officers for the ensuing year. There is no deliberation or amendment needed for this article, so we'll just move on to the next article. As we have bypassed the articles, we move to Article 12. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amounts set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by vote of the first session for the purpose set forth herein totaling $8,986,672. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $8,471,316, which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous actions of the town or by law, or a governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 4013, 10, and 16 to take up the issues of the revised operating budget only. This appropriation is recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0 and recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 8-0. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move the article.
I'll second.
I recognize Teresa Williams.
No, this is me.
Oh, it's you? Sorry about.
This is the proposed 2026 operating budget that will be offset by approximately 3.6 million in revenue.
That all?
That's it.
Yes? Connie?
Mr. Moderator, I would like to know if you put any money towards.
Behind, I'm hearing you, Connie. Use the mic. Thank you.
Sorry. I'd like to know if you put any money towards reducing the taxes from the unexpended.
We did not this year because we didn't have it to do We did not this year because we didn't have it to do so this year. You didn't have it? So. We don't have it. Wow. Well, what is it at? Do you know? Well, we're below the percentage that is required by the state to keep. Okay. And we held off this year due to the fact that we're hoping to do much better for it next year.
Chair recognizes
Okay.
Mrs. Scala.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. And to add to that, Mrs. Twombly, in years past, money was put by the select board to offset and to lower the taxes. What that does sometimes, it puts us in a tough position where that money is no longer revenue. For example, if they put 500,000 towards it, it's not money coming through our system, and that can make the coffers a little tighter. The board, in their wisdom this year, said, we're going to get back on track. We're not going to put anything towards it, and they'll see what they do in the fall.
Mr. Duffy.
Yeah, I'd like to clarify a little bit on that. The unexpended funds, the undesignated fund balance is the money, but put it towards the tax rate, or which I would like to see us start doing more, is put it towards the warrant articles that we have in place. That way, it doesn't affect our revenue stream, Dino, if that's the way you're explaining it.
Correct.
So it's a better way to use the undesignated fund is to put it towards the warrant articles so we don't have to raise that money through taxation. So that will offset the tax rate because we're not requiring that much money to come from the taxpayers.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Teresa Williams.
I also want to make a comment to that there's a percentage that is allowed for us to keep. So it's set by, I believe, our auditors and DRA to say there's a certain percentage that we're allowed to have in that fund. And we were at, correct me if I'm wrong, Dino, 6.5%? We're allowed 6 to.
We were at 6.4 last year, and this year we're just under 7 with putting nothing in. And their bracket that you're speaking of, Mrs. Williams, is between 5 and 17%.
Correct. So we didn't want to get too low on that in case an emergency comes up and we needed those funds to help with emergencies.
Thank you. Chair would like to recognize Tom Daniels.
Yeah, so just an overview comment about the budget. The budget that you're looking at is budget that was put together by the budget committee, the selectmen, the department heads who work together to create a budget that not only continues to invest in our town's capital infrastructure, our fire trucks, our ambulance, our police and public works vehicles, as well as our town-owned buildings, but also, of course, to invest in recruiting and retaining the great employees that service our community, all while being respectful of the tax impact on our residents. When you take a look at the tax increase or the increase in this year's operating budget, combined with all of the warrant articles, the impact of the increase is just around $357,000, 3.95%. To break that down, that tax increase translates into 15.5 cents per thousand on your taxes. The median house
Recording in
price
progress.
or house valuation in the town of Wakefield is $454,000, which means that if all of the operating budget as presented, plus all of the warrant articles as presented were added together, the impact on your tax bill would be $7, for the average person would be $70.82. This increase was driven by two major factors. Almost half of the increase is related to healthcare costs, and that is after the town employees agreed to move to a new health plan with a substantially larger deductible, which took effect last year. The other is wages for our employees. For those of you who are familiar with Social Security and the cost of living increase, this year the cost of living increase through Social Security, which is a good bellwether of inflation, was 2.8%. But yet the wages increased in this budget, and being frugal with our taxpayer monies, were just 2.5%. So the budget committee, along with the selectmen and the department heads, have worked very hard to minimize the ultimate tax impact on our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Any questions? Comments, discussion? Natalie? Up to the podium, please. Thank you.
Explain TAN and the impact that that has had over the town, for the town.
Sure. I'll do that.
No?
Yep.
Thank you.
TAN is abbreviation for tax anticipated note. And a TAN is something that a town will pull out from a bank. It's really, it's a loan that we have applied for. And a TAN is brought into a town when they are running short on funds and they're trying to anticipate whether they'll make it to the end of the year, be able to make payroll and pay the bills, et cetera. Because what happens is at the end of the year, we have to wait for DRA to be ready to set our tax rate. In years past, we've set it in October. The bills go out pretty much on time and then the revenue comes in. A TAN's not really needed. The last couple of years, we start running short at the end of the year and we're still waiting for DRA to call us to set the tax rate. At that point, myself and our financial team in the finance department and the executive part will kind of give guidance to the selectmen and say, look, here's where we're at. Here's what we spend every month. And this is where we'll be if we don't do a TAN. It was very close this year, so we decided to do a TAN. We did one for 1.3 million. We applied and was accepted. They're not just willy-nilly from a bank. You do have to go through the process. And financially, Wakefield is very, very solid. And credit-wise, we're also solid. So we received that money that got put into the system and that helped get us through the end of the year, but it also got us to the point where we've sent out the tax bills and now that second tax bill is coming through the system. More specifically, what that cost the taxpayers this year was right around $14,000 in interest, unfortunately. So it's something that the board really does try to avoid. But when we put into a situation where we might not be able to pay the bills or meet payroll for us and the school, quite frankly, that's when the selectmen decided to do it.
Thank you, Dino.
Yep.
Are there any other questions, comments? Again, I would ask anybody that has a question or a comment, I'll recognize you when you come up to the podium. So you just stand up, come to the podium. I'll recognize you there and speak into the microphone. It helps everybody. Thank you. So seeing none, hearing none, we will move on to Article 13. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be added to the transfer station trucks capital reserve fund previously established. This article is recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0 and recommended by the Budget Committee of a vote of 8-0.
I move the article, Mr. Moderator.
Second.
Second.
This is a capital reserve for the transfer station facility that has a current balance of $32,794. The recent improvements from the reserve have been covered.
We're on 13, Mr. Moderator. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, I apologize. All right. So I move the article of 13 and Mark second. All right, the capital reserve for the purpose of purchasing future trucks for the transfer station. Currently, the balance in this fund is approximately $11,864.
Any questions, comments? Thank you for that clarification, Nina, by the way.
Problem. Can you just reconfirm?
Your name, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name's Tammy Garthwaite. I live in East Wakefield. I wrote down the balance and then you said a different balance. So I just want to make sure that I'm understanding what the current balance actually is.
$11,864.
So that, what was the 32,000?
That'll be the next article.
That's
Okay, that had nothing to do with this. Just
I
thank
skipped
you.
over it. I apologize.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll move to Article 14. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $30,000 to be added to the transfer station facility capital reserve fund previously established. This appropriation is recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0 and recommended by the Budget Committee of a vote to 8-0. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to move the article.
Second.
This is a capital reserve fund for the transfer station facility. and has a current balance of $32,794. Recent improvements from the reserve have been to cover the garage building for the storing of recycled materials such as cardboard, cement foundations for the dumpsters and containers, and the purchase of a reconditioned baler.
Any questions? Comments? Nothing? Seeing none here, now we'll move to Article 15. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be placed in the Highway Heavy Equipment Capital Reserve Fund previously established. This appropriation is recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0 and recommended by the Budget Committee of a vote of 6-2.
I move the article, Mr. Moderator.
I'll second.
This is a capital reserve for the highway heavy equipment. There is approximately a balance of $38,350 in this account.
Any questions? Comments? Seeing none here, now we'll move to Article 16. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 to be placed in the Public Works Building Capital Reserve Fund previously established. This appropriation is recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0 and recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 8-0.
Move the article, Mr. Moderator.
I'll second.
This is a capital reserve fund for all or any needed items in additions for the DPW building. The article was reduced by the selectmen due to the building being so new. The capital reserve is currently at approximate $1,055.
Thank you. Any questions? Sir?
I'm Bruce Rich from Racket Road in Sanbornville. I'm just wondering why we have so many warrant articles for so small dollars. The operating budget is $9 million. Shouldn't some of these $5,000, $10,000 articles just be included in that budget? That would allow the selectmen a little more flexibility. If the budget didn't pass and they had to cut things, many of these items could be deferred for a year. Whereas if you put them in a capital reserve article, you're bound to use the money for that purpose, presumably that year.
Chair recognizes Dino.
Yes, sir. The board actually agrees with you on this specific one. It was much higher. The board had a meeting and they were trying to reduce. So when the warrant articles were presented to the people, it'd be kind of a more conservative number. I'm forgetting where this started. It might have been 50 or higher. And they did that for a couple of reasons. A, to keep it open, so they'll have something going in there. The balance, as you can see, is only $1,000. If something comes up during the year and Brock needs to do something to it that can't be covered under repairs or maintenance, but if there's something that Brock needed for his building, this will help offset that. There is no line in the budget. I know what you're saying, but there is no line in Brock's budget that allows for purchases unless it's specific things. And that's where the capital reserves come in.
Capital reserve articles just for items that have a life expectancy of a year or more?
No. Our capital reserves, at least the way that we've been doing it historically, are to build up and then maybe make a purchase of a new vehicle, et cetera, as you know. This and Brock's here, I don't know if he would like to speak to it a little bit further, but these are for items that aren't covered under repairs or general maintenance, electricity, items like that. Brock, did you want to? Yep. This is our DPW Director, Brock Mitchell.
Chair will recognize Mr. Brock Mitchell.
This is actually done for two reasons. In case we have an emergency at the DPW. It is a new building, but that doesn't mean stuff doesn't break. And it is also for down the road so we don't run into the same problem we just ran into building a new DPW. We need to start putting money away for 40 years down the road, and $5,000 a year, putting money away for that in 30 years. Maybe if something happens down there and you need an addition or something grows, it's just, it's looking for the future, just what a capital reserve is designed to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Duffy.
Just one comment, Bruce. if we put this into the budget and, it's not used, it just falls to the bottom and it goes into that undesignated fund balance, like what I was talking about. These are the articles which, we used to do quite a bit back a few years, where we would say funded with the undesignated fund balance. So it wouldn't be raised by taxation. It would come out of that fund. There's only two ways we can use that fund. One to reduce taxes and one to use it to offset warrant articles. Any other time, we have to go to the DRA and go through all this rigmarole just to get the money. We had a situation out on Brackett Road where that bridge was out, and we went and repaired it, and we had to fight for that money because they said, well, you fixed it, so you must have had the money, but all that money came out of the budget. But eventually we won and they let us use the undesignated fund. But these are the only two ways that we can use the undesignated fund, is to reduce taxes or to offset warrant articles. So I'd like to see us get back into that habit of using that undesignated fund when it gets to be too much, to put it towards these warrant articles to keep the taxpayers not having to, vote on these articles and have them raised through taxes. We could do it. We did the public safety building. We built that with undesignated funds back when I was on the board. That building was all built through undesignated funds. The town voted to use that because we had a significant surplus. So these warrant articles, they're important because they are planning for the future. We're going to see one coming up for the fire truck for $100,000. Todd's here and he'll let you know how much those cost. Those are pretty expensive now. So it's a good way to plan for future purchases or future repairs or additions or whatever. So I hope I explained it a little bit better.
Mr. O'Connor.
I didn't hear it. Was it my turn? I think, listen to what what Bruce had mentioned was, I think years ago, we would have capital reserve funds and we'd have expendable trust funds. And it seems to me, well, the capital reserve funds would be for capital investments like Bruce was talking about, like fire engines, $750,000, $500,000. And the expendable trust funds were more for the smaller maintenance items and smaller amounts that weren't actually capital investments. But I think over the years, I noticed that all of our articles become capital reserve funds instead of expendable trust funds. And I'm not sure why that happened, but it may have been something the state changed.
Hi, yeah. So the
Name for the record, so everybody.
Jim O'Shaughnessy, Town Council.
Thank you.
Because there was that confusion in towns and school districts were using the terms interchangeably, the legislature amended the law. Essentially, a trust fund, a capital reserve fund are the same thing. They're all trust funds. Sometimes towns, school districts will use the term capital reserve to indicate that it's a capital expense primarily, but there really is no legal difference between the two.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Right. I remember, and I remember when we signed up for the portal, when we switched everything over, the trust funds and went to the portal, they had classifications. They had trust, they had expendable trust fund, and they had capital reserve funds, and each one had their own RSA, but that was the.
Yeah, they still do. They're all still managed by the trustees of trust funds, and I think they're essentially interchangeable. So it's not really worth getting too much into the weeds about the difference, because legally there's no real distinction.
Go ahead, Jerry. Jerry, feel free to continue the question.
I would just say that I was just kind of trying to understand Bruce's question about the capital expenditure and being the amount. So it's actually changed, Bruce, that we don't need to separate the expendable trust funds from the capital reserve funds because of the value of the project that we're investing in. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none here, and then we'll move to Article 17. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $90,000 to be added to the Ambulance Capital Reserve Fund previously established. This appropriation is recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0 and recommended by the Budget Committee of a vote of 7-1.
Mr. Moderator, I move this article.
Second.
This capital reserve is for the future purchase of an ambulance for the town. The reserve currently has approximately $6,153 in it.
Questions? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll move to Article 18. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 to be added to the Fire Truck Capital Reserve Fund previously established. This appropriation is recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0 and recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 8-0.
I'll move that, Mark.
I'll second.
This is for the purchase of a capital reserve for the purchase of a new fire truck. This capital reserve has $418,267 in it. This $100,000 is about half. Todd, if you want to speak to this, I'll defer to the fire chief that's here.
Chair recognizes Ms. Nason. Thank you.
Todd Nason, Fire Chief. As we've been saying the last couple of years, between the ambulance and fire truck, with the cost of everything since about 2020, 2022, they've doubled in price. We're looking to replace engine 2 as our next engine that needs to be replaced. And we've got prices coming in anywhere from 800 and say 850 to, I got one that's $1 million. That's just replacing in kind what we have. Engine 2 right now is a 2006. So it's getting to the end of it's starting to have engine issues, and it's also rust issues as well. So that's the next one that we're trying to do. But the prices have just skyrocketed so much. That's why we're up to 100,000 on the article.
Questions? Thank you, sir. Seeing none, hearing none, we will move to Article 18. I'm sorry, 19. Thank you, Valerie.
Yeah.
To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $35,425 to be added to the Invasive Species Expendable Trust Fund previously established. This appropriation is recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0 and recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 8-0. Mr. Edwards.
I'll move the article, Mr. Moderator.
Second.
This one was yours, Mark, so why don't you go ahead and speak? Go ahead.
Okay, this is for the invasive species fund that the lakes, we put to protect our lakes. A lot of this money goes to the mitigation of milfoil, but there's also, we have other issues going on in the town now is with these blooms now that the water quality, like on Province Lake has gone down considerably. It's not affect the wildlife as not as much as the lake itself. So this is a very important fund, and we're going to have to, protect our assets because these lakes are our assets. They're the ones that probably pay the lion's share of the taxes in this town. So if we do not protect them, we'll lose a very valuable resource. So this money does go towards for the Lake Coast program where you see people watching for weed watchers and bringing, the plants in. So it's a valuable thing. Right now, there's only $2,551 in it. The lakes come around, they plead how much money they want every year. And this amount is about what we spend every year. So this is a very valuable article. To be honest with you, I think some years down the road, we might have to increase that. But right now, it's pretty steady.
Thank you. Any questions?
I'd like to make a comment.
Mr. Edwards?
To elaborate on what Mark just said, reason why it is low is because you have a great town with a lot of people on these lakes that take care of this thing themselves. There's a lot of volunteer work that goes with this. So I just want you to be aware that this is extremely cheap money for what it's intended for because of the people in this community. So just be aware of that, please.
Thank you. Sir?
Robert Baxter down in Union. I just want to comment that if you see any blooms or such in the streams, rivers, ponds, lakes, get in touch with the Department of Environmental Services. They're there, they come out, they do testing, and they give you the results. That helps prevent spread, down the stream, down the river, into other lakes and ponds. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Duffy?
Just for everybody's knowledge, that we have the Akron Wakefield Watershed Alliance, and they reside down in the Resource Center. They're a great resource if you have problems with your property, like runoffs into the lake that might be, letting the phosphorus into the lakes. They come up with plans for repairs. They have a crew there. It's basically you pay for the materials and they provide the labor to fix your problem. So it's a great resource. It's down the Resource Center. So if you live on the lake and you have any problems with your property with runoff, I would advise you to contact them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any other questions? Seeing none here, no, we'll move to Article 20. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $55,000 to be added to the Public Safety Building Capital Reserve Fund previously established. This article is recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0 and recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 8-0.
Mr. Moderator, I move the article.
Second.
This capital reserve was created for any capital improvements and repairs that are needed at the public safety building. Recent repairs and upgrades that have been done are on the furnace, new roof, and resurfacing of the floor in the fire station. Fortunately, I do not have the balance in that account right now. I'm hoping that Tom or Jerry have that available.
No, I have it, but I didn't take it out. You have it?
Is Tom looking? I can't see him.
And I believe the resurfacing was done this year, if that's correct, right? Yeah, so.
Public safety.
So just to elaborate for Teresa's sake, the new items that are needed down there is, that building is over 25 years old now. The windows are starting to show some severe deterioration, and we're losing money daily down there with the heat loss and all that stuff. So the windows need to be replaced, and the siding is starting to diminish due to the fact that that time they were put on, it wasn't a very great product, but the product now is recovered so that it's a much better product. So in the near future, we're gonna need to reside that building, and as you know, it's a pretty big building, so we need to start saving a little money so that we can keep the upkeep up on the building.
Jerry, did you find that balance?
Yes, it's this morning, it's $32,920.94. Sorry for the delay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll move to Article 21. Thank you, Jerry. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $42,000 to be placed in the Police Vehicles Capital Reserve Fund previously established. This appropriation is recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0 and recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 8-0.
Mr. Moderator, I move the article.
Second.
This capital reserve has been created and has been used for the purchase of a new police cruiser each year. Currently, the reserve balance is $1,371.
Questions?
I'll defer to the chief for any questions.
None?
I got a.
Oh, Mr. Duffy.
Chief, can you come up and explain how many vehicles you have and how the rotation works? Because last year we
did not buy a cruiser.
We didn't buy one, so I'm just want you to kind of explain to the public, the reasoning for that and how you determine your rotation.
Historically, we run and roll with 8 patrol cruisers. We're down to 7. I lost car 1 this past year. So we're down to 7 patrol cars. So when we get this one this coming year, we'll be up to fully to 8. We also run 1 animal control vehicle, which is an old, essentially replaced vehicle that has about 155,000 on it. It's heavily used during the summer, but not during the winter time. So 8 patrol. We won't be replacing one unless it breaks down next year. So we get fully staffed with 8 patrol cars and then 1 animal cruiser.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Chief. Seeing none, hearing none, we'll move to Article 22. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $6,255 to be added to the Assessing Statistical Update Capital Reserve Fund previously established. This update is legally required by the state of New Hampshire. This appropriation is recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0 and recognized by the Budget Committee by a vote of 8-0.
I'll move that, Ms. Moderator.
I'll second.
It's basically the money that we put aside for the mandatory reassessment of our town, like every 5 years. I believe we're into what, this second or third year of this last assessment. So within another 2 years, we'll be doing another assessment. So this money is kind of mandatory. We have to do it. So we kind of budget it in small chunks. So when it does come up, we have the money and we don't have to ask for the full amount.
Ms. Edwards.
Just to elaborate for Mr. Duffy, this is a mandated state requirement that we have to pay for. So understand that it's not money that we want to just keep going out and reassessing you. This is all done by the state. It has nothing to do with the town.
Yeah, I neglected the balance right now is $22,623.
And I believe it's something like $80,000 to pay for this to happen. So that's why we try to break it up into 5 years, because we have to do it every 5 years by mandatory law.
Thank you. Jerry.
Yes, just going back to the question that Mr. Rich had asked about the warrant articles and stuff. I'm not sure, we may have had a discussion, but I mean, seeing how this is a state mandate and it's every 3 years, I'm wondering why we don't just, did we ever have a discussion about putting it in the operating budget as an operating expense instead of having it as a, because I mean, if the warrant article gets voted down, technically you're not supposed to be able to spend the money, but we would obviously still have to spend the money.
I don't know how that would work, but I would agree with you that it should just be thrown in, because it's something that there's no reason to vote it because it's mandated. We have to pay for it no matter what. So I agree.
Dino.
Yeah, this one, Mr. Chairman, this one specifically should be a capital reserve because if you put it in the budget, they're not going to spend it every year and it would fall to the bottom. This one specifically should stick to the side. So when the bill does come due, we can cut that check. It should also be noted that the state of New Hampshire allows cities and towns to reassess every year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, but the furthest you can go is 5. The Board of Assessors has opted to do 5 years. So we've got a great assessing tech. We have a good company that does this. So, and I think, Mr. Duffy, I think we're on year 2 out of 5. So that's where we're at.
Jerry.
I think, thank you, Mr. Moderator. I think that we could put it in the operating budget every 5 years.
Yeah.
If we needed it, right? I mean, it's not such a huge expense that we have to save up for it. So I mean, it was 3 or 5 years, we could insert it into the operating budget. But and if I just could sideline things for a minute, Mr. Moderator, because I looked a little bit in Article 19 when we had the 35,000 for the lake host that fund, and I looked in my records, and we also, when they mentioned Acton Wakefield watershed in the outside agencies, the town people also gave $40,000 to the Acton Wakefield Watershed Alliance. So I think that, I mean, that shows, I think, the commitment that the taxpayers have to keeping the lakes clean. So it's more of an investment, but sorry to derail your meeting, sir.
Any other questions? Mr. Duffy?
That's, something the town should think about, because this last assessment was pretty much a toxic shock for everybody because the property values skyrocketed. And that's what really blew our tax rate right out of the water. Personally, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I think we should be doing this like every 2 years because 5 years is way too long. I mean, the whole market shift from COVID to now, and the people coming up here and just paying, incredible amount of dollars for houses that used to sell for $250,000, they're paying $450,000 for them. So it just brings the town's value up, brings the tax rate down, but it also brings, when we have a regular budget, we had the default budget. The default budget was kind of like a falls budget because the next following year, we had a real budget, and that's when everybody's tax rate went up, and everybody was a little bit upset. but your property values pretty much double. So I think, you know, be honest with you, I think we should be doing this every 2 years, but that's up to the Board of Assessors, and if you want to go call them, I suggest you give them a jingle.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, hearing none, we will move to Article 23. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Improve Repair Boat Launches Expendable Trust Fund previously established. This appropriation is recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0 and recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 8-0.
I'll move that article, Mr. Moderator.
A second.
Okay, this is for repair of some of our boat launches in town. The one in Level Lake is in dire need of a repair. We have one up on Great East Lake that's pretty rugged too. I think Brock, I think it's, is he still here? Yeah. We're targeting Level Lake this go around, correct? But they're pretty in poor shape and they get used a lot. We don't want accidents down there where people are tipping over their boats there. We did have one incident where someone was pulling out a pontoon boat and hit a bump and rolled over. So it's they're in pretty rough shape and we should take care of them.
Connie. Right?
How many boat launches do we have?
The Level Lake, Great East Lake, there's
I believe Ivanhoe.
Ivanhoe has
yeah.
one, yeah, and,
Balt has one too, doesn't he?
yeah, but that's not ours, that's private, but it's public, and the only other public, personally, I think they all should have them, but they all don't.
Pine River Pond doesn't have a boat
It
launch.
does not, it has their own, but it's not a public launching boat, public launching. Say that again?
Excuse me?
Yeah, 11,000,
Province Lake too.
$11,178.
Oh, sorry, I was forgetting that.
You know,
Brock and I have been working closely with Parks and Rec Director Alyssa. Alyssa has made the phone calls to the state. Luckily, the number for the cost of this is a little bit lower than we had anticipated if we use certain pavers. But we do need to do an engineering study. DES said that they're going to rubber stamp the permits, which is just a couple of pages, but they do want an engineering study. So we're going to be working with Brock on that to kind of guide us how to do that. And this will be done with cement pavers. And hopefully, I don't think Brock knows about this until I say it, we're going to use Brock's team to help put in those pavers. That'll save us a lot of money. So thank you for agreeing to that, Brock, right here on camera.
any additional questions or comments? Seeing none here, now we'll move to Article 24. Dino, do we have a representative?
Not on this one. Mr. Daniels might speak to this. He did bring it to the board. It is a state law. We do have counsel here too. We have 2 years to put this on our ballot, and we're doing it in the first session. Maybe we start with Jim, and then if
We're talking about the Keno.
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So just for the record, Article 24 is, shall we prohibit the operation of Keno games within the town of Wakefield? I was asking because I thought we would have a representative from the state
My
here.
apologies. Representative will not be here until we have a public hearing. The town should know that. We are too early to have the public. Do we have one here?
Appears we do.
So sorry. My apologies. So come on up. Thank you.
Sorry about that, and thank you.
Good morning, Kelly J. Cleland, Chief Product and Program Officer with the New Hampshire Lottery.
Hi.
Hi, I'm really here to answer questions. I was told you did not want a presentation. I'm happy to answer questions or explain how it works, what the benefits are, whatever you need.
Perhaps you could just explain why it's coming and how long we have, and then that small window that we are supposed to have the hearing.
Pull your mic up just a little bit so that we can hear you.
Okay, sure. So the legislature passed this past July that it is incumbent upon each municipality to vote to have it or not have it. this year as well as next year. And if they don't vote to not have it, they will automatically have it.
Sounds like the state.
Mr. Daniels first, and I'll come to you, Mark.
Yeah, so just the reason I'd spoken to the selectmen about this a few meetings ago was, again, the town voted that we did not want Keno in our town. And the state has decided that they're going to take away local control and they're going to force us to have Keno unless we put it back on the ballot. And I'm not necessarily for or against Keno. I personally have no opinion one way or the other, but I do agree that we should have local control and that we should make that decision for us and not have the state. So the way that the new rule was written, as you just explained, is if we do nothing, we're going to have Keno in our town, even though we voted against it just a few years ago. So this isn't our opportunity. We have a 2-year window to decide whether we want it or we don't want it. So putting it on the ballot here is just about us as a community deciding, do we want it or don't we want it? And not having the state tell us what we can and can't do.
Mr. Scala.
Just to be clear, we'll put it before the people on March 10th of this year. They can say no, and then we have to do it again next year?
No,
Okay, just do,
that's what we're told
okay.
through the law that was passed.
So can I,
Yes or no?
so if it's not approved, it can be put back on the ballot again next year by petition or by the select board, at which point you would have to vote no again. At that point, I mean, honestly, the law allows it to be brought forward by petition every year to change whatever the vote of the legislative body is. This is just the legislature saying they're requiring you to affirmatively make a decision whether you want Keno now or not. They're making you make this decision whether you want to or not, is basically what's happening.
Mr. Duffy.
This is what I don't understand. Our town has a very good memory when it comes to what they voted on. They're gonna say, hey, what are we doing? Are they, trying to cram this down our throat now? Because they voted not to have Keno. Now we have to have another vote. So it's very confusing. I think the state is,
I agree. It is confusing. And at the Lottery Commission, we don't advocate, we don't make the laws. We just have to help implement whatever they decide. So we agree that it is very confusing, but this is what the legislature passed. So we are here to work with you to try and provide you the information that you need to make the decision that your community wants to make.
Tammy, one quick question. Let Tammy ask a question.
Okay, so can you explain?
Excuse me, could you state your name, please?
Sorry, my name's Tammy Garthwaite. I live in East Wakefield. Can you explain? Actually, first statement, nobody is forced to have Keno. This doesn't mean that every establishment in Wakefield suddenly is going to have Keno thrust upon them. The operators of, let's just say anywheres, the level market, whatever, could opt to choose to have that in their establishment. Financially, is there a benefit to the town? Like, is there any money that comes back to the town as far as revenues, or is there any cost to the town for these establishments to have Keno?
So to answer your most immediate question, there's no cost to the location that wants to have Keno. And there is a licensing process. They need to be approved to have Keno. It is not a guarantee, and there is no licensing fee for it. We used to have a licensing fee of $500. That was removed. There is no direct benefit to the municipality. So by having Keno, it's not there's a local benefit. However, we have demonstrated through research that locations that do have Keno, specifically bars and taverns, but it also goes for you already have lottery here and some of your C-stores and grocery stores. So it's just another game for them to offer versus having somebody go to another jurisdiction to purchase Keno. There are no monitors at the C-stores and grocery stores that show the Keno draw show. That would only be permitted in approved bars and taverns. The commission for Keno is 8%. The commission for regular lottery games is 5% for selling. So they do receive, the local businesses receive an additional 3% for each dollar sold of Keno. And when a person is playing Keno in an approved establishment, and you're absolutely right, just because Keno passes does not mean that you automatically, every place gets it. It is only in those locations that that they request it and that it is then turned on in their location. And in those location bars and taverns specifically, the majority of the prizes are $100 and below. So oftentimes what happens is it does increase, it has been shown to increase foot traffic, and it has shown to benefit the bar or tavern because people are spending a little bit more, they're winning, they're tipping, they're purchasing, they're buying around, they're buying additional food because they have extra cash in their pocket. But there is no direct benefit to the municipality. You don't receive a revenue from the machines that are there. It is the funds go directly to the education fund, just like all of the lottery funds.
Just for clarification, for my own edification, you said, does the business get 8%?
The business
Thank you.
does, yep.
Thank you. Tom?
Tom, next Wakefield, just remember too, even if it's in the establishment, you don't have to play it.
Well put. Good,
Just
Jim.
want to follow up because I think a lot of people, I think this is an important aspect to remember. So one, let's take Naughty Pine. Maybe Naughty Pine wants to have Keno and they can make 8% off the revenue. So by voting no, we're saying to a well-known establishment in town, no, you can't make extra money on this. Now, if you, anybody who's familiar with the restaurant industry, alcohol sales is declining. That's just a fact. People drink less than they used to, and a lot of restaurants are struggling because a lot of their profit margin, whether you realize it or not, comes from alcohol. So we've already got businesses that we'd be saying, no, 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 you're not allowed to have this possible revenue stream because for some reason, even though it doesn't cost us anything and nobody's forced to do it, we're just going to tell you no. But you did say something interesting. The revenue from this goes into the Education Trust Fund. And everybody's worried about the Education Trust Fund these days and where the money for education is going to come from and where all these different things are. So by not saying our town, by saying, no, no, Naughty Pine, you're not allowed to do this, we're also saying we want less money to go into the Education Trust Fund. That is where that money comes back to the towns through the adequacy and whatnot. So there's a lot to be thought of when we're just saying no, because I guess on the surface, we don't want you to be able to make the choice to play Keno or not in Wakefield. We'd much rather have you go to another town and spend your money there.
Thank you. Any other questions? Good discussion. All right, seeing none, hear none. I will move to Article 25. Thank you, man.
We had more discussion on that.
Article 25, to see if the town will vote in accordance with RSA 7227-A to modify the provisions of RSA 7235 previously adopted to increase the optional tax credit to the amount of $2,750 for service-connected total and permanent disability. If approved, this article shall take effect for the final property tax bill of the 2026 property tax year.
Mr. Moderator?
Mr. Scala.
Yes, if I might, I did meet with the assessing department to kind of dig a little bit deeper on this to see what the impact would be to the town. Currently, we have 39 total veterans that are receiving services connected to disability credits. Of the 39, 30 are getting credit, as she called stacking, which would be 2 credits on top of 1. So they are already getting $2,750. The other 9, this would affect them. This would help them receive an additional $750 if it passes. The impact, as it was stated, would happen at the end of this year and would be a total of $6,750 less of tax revenue coming into the town if it passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions? Seeing none here, none, we will move to Article 26. Is the petitioner here for this? I see none.
We'd like to have council speak to this if we could.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to let everybody know, it just says to rescind RSA 160-6:C:6. Spoke with council earlier about this, and I would like him to address this now. Thank you.
I'm going to attempt to make this as non-confusing as possible, but, and if the chief's here, chief may be able to help. The fireworks statutes are kind of confusing in a lot of ways. Let me just give you the history so you understand what your current status is. The select board in May of 1988 voted to ban the sale and use of Class C fireworks in the town. So that's your current status. And after that, in 1999, a legislature passed RSA 160C, which basically authorizes the towns to vote to restrict the sale of permissible fireworks and the display of permissible fireworks. And it said if any action by the town that had already been taken remains in effect until it's changed. So your current status is fireworks are currently banned in terms of sale, so the town can't issue permits and they can't be displayed in town. Chief, is that your understanding as well? Okay. This warrant article, on its face, it doesn't mean anything. Like it says to rescind 160C6. If it was voted on in that form, I don't have any idea what that would mean with respect to fireworks in the town of Wakefield, because what are they rescinding? Are they rescinding? There was never a vote under 160C to ban it. It was a select board vote prior to that law existing. So, in my legal opinion, to pass it on in this form to the ballot is opening yourselves up to a problem down the road, because if it passes or it fails, I don't know what that means. And my recommendation would be to, as a collective body, figure out what you want to happen somehow through debate, discussion, moderator. And when you've reached some kind of a consensus, someone can make an amendment. And I have thoughts about what the amendments would look like. I can offer suggestions, and I don't want to put my hands on the scale, but I'll tell you that if you're looking to just maintain the status quo, which is often what towns are looking to do when there's a petition article, if you don't want things to change, I have an amendment that'll accomplish that. If you want to get into a debate about whether you want to allow the display and use of fireworks, but not the sale, I can offer amendments to that as well. But I don't think you should just leave it as is, because that'll create potential legal problems down the road.
So legally, would you say we could make a motion to remove it?
You can't.
We can't. Pass it over.
Yeah.
Well, so we had previously talked about passing over.
I'm talking about remove the article, not the.
You can't remove an article. You have to act on every article, and every article gets passed on to the ballot. You need to amend it. If you want to fix it, it needs to be amended. If you pass over it, it's going to go on the ballot in this form. It's going to get voted up or voted down. People are going to not understand what they're voting. And so actually, although we talked about passing over, after further discussion with Dino and folks, I think you need to do something as a community. The law prohibits you from changing the subject matter of a warrant article. It does not prohibit you from changing the intent. So you don't need to know right now what the intent was of the petitioners. You can change the subject matter. The subject matter is the authority of it's fireworks, right? The town, what does the town want to do about fireworks? That's the subject matter, and you can all figure that out here today.
Tammy.
Now you just confused me. So we can't move to remove the warrant in its entirety.
The article, not the warrant.
Article. Somebody can't make a motion to remove Article 26.
No, you're in an SB2 district. So once it's on the warrant,
Here, we got to vote on it.
it's going on the ballot in whatever form you leave it here today. So you can't remove it. It's going to be on the ballot.
And currently in town, we have sales are banned and the use is banned. That's the
Yes.
current status quo.
Yes,
So somebody could make a motion based on your not your recommendation, but you have language available to either codify our existing policy
correct.
or change the policy to
Correct.
either allow one or the other.
Correct.
And somebody would have to make, that's eligible to vote can make that motion?
Yes.
And then what is? the
It's a motion to amend the article as follows. And so it would be a motion to amend. The moderator would deal with the amendment. It would need to be seconded, and then the voters would vote on the amendment. If it gets amended, then the amended version of the article is on the floor for further debate. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it could get amended again or not. And if there's no more amendment or discussion, it moves to the ballot in that amended form.
So, follow up.
You may.
So, in order to have a discussion on this, we have to move an amendment.
In order to have a discussion, it needs to be on the floor, and then there needs to be, nothing, and folks may just decide not to make an amendment, but someone would need to move to make an amendment.
In order to have the debate.
Yeah.
I'm just saying process wise to have the debate.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, you could have, listen, I'm not the moderator. The moderator can answer process questions, but I'll just jump in. You
Isn't
can,
there a
it's
process?
on the floor for debate right now, correct?
What's that?
Isn't there a process to speak?
Yeah, so I'm gonna let the room go, and if you need my assistance, I'm here.
There you go. Natalie, Josh, did you have a question? I'm sorry. Did you want to speak?
The way I signed the petition, and the way I understood it was to allow for the use of fireworks in town and continue to ban the sales of them so you don't have fireworks stores in town, but at least you can use the fireworks as New Hampshire allows for.
So I think the problem that we have here is the person that is the petitioner isn't here to explain his intent. I think this kind of sets a bad precedent where people could just go up and put something on an article on the warrant without any explanation and it could pass. So
Also, I'd like to ask that we follow the process. Raise your hand, you get called upon.
oh, I just asked, I changed that earlier today saying just come to the mic
Oh.
and then I'll recognize.
I'd like
Go
to
ahead, Natalie.
make an amendment to leave it the same with the language that you have available. So what we have in place right now, with the language that you have available, to keep it the same.
Somebody has to be on to make it something.
Mr. Duffy.
To do that, right?
Rick, the article, I believe this has to be in writing, though. If you're gonna amend anything, you have to write it down.
He has the language. He just said that he had it.
We haven't heard it.
Okay, can we hear it, what you have?
Yep.
So I kind of drafted up various amendments. So if the amendment was, I'm calling it the status quo, to continue doing what you're doing, it would be to prohibit the sale or use of fireworks pursuant to RSA 160-C:6. I mean, that's essentially mirroring what the select board voted in 1988. It's just to prohibit the sale or display of fireworks in accordance with that law. So
Dino.
Yeah, just a question for council, because I think for years, this body and the people were told that on a warrant article, you can amend it as long as you didn't change the intent of the article. That's the way we've been doing it. And now council is saying we can't change the subject matter. So if we were to use Mrs. Kelly's amendment, we have an article saying we would like fireworks, and then that same article would say we're prohibiting fireworks. Is that what I'm to understand?
So I can tell you, I've been to hundreds of meetings, and it is almost a universal misconception that you can't change the intent or purpose of a warrant article at deliberative or annual meeting. That is not the law. You can't change the subject matter, right? And the definition of subject matter is very broad. The subject matter of this warrant article is fireworks in town. I mean, that's the subject matter. So you can absolutely, it's legal to amend it to change the intent, purpose, or outcome. I've seen it done thousands of times. And there may be sort of a practice in town, or like something you do like as a civility issue to not try to impact the intent. The problem with this article, and notwithstanding that we have a signature I mean, one of the signers of the petition say, well, this was the intent. The article itself, the intent is not clear from that language because RSA 160 C6 says the town may vote to permit or allow. So rescinding something that allows you to permit or allow doesn't actually have a meaning. So I don't know what the intent is. We need to amend it so the intent is clear. And when the voters get to the ballot, they know what they're voting on.
Go ahead, sir.
So based on what you said, that the first example where you said, keep it as it is, status quo. If that was voted no, does that mean that fireworks would be allowed and the sale would be allowed?
Correct.
So that would be a blanket of allowing both.
It's a really good question. So procedurally, there was a vote of the select board when the select board used to have that authority. The new law passed. The law said any current vote remains in effect until it's changed. Now you would be taking a vote under the new statute. If they voted no to that, it would override the select board's prior vote because the legislative body would have decided, no, we want to allow the sale and use.
Dino.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Again, a question for council. Using Mr. Gaudette's example, and let's say it gets to the point where fireworks are allowed, because this is by petition, would the Board of Selectmen still be able to say, we're taking it as advisory and sort of like rescind it?
So what they would, if they were voting to allow the sale, that what they're technically doing is voting to allow the Board of Selectmen in town to develop a permitting process for permitting sellers of fireworks in town. So that's first of all, just to clarify what that means. It doesn't mean blanket, anybody gets to go out now and buy a bunch of fireworks and, sell them out of their garage. You'd have to follow a bunch of state requirements to sell fireworks. And you would be issuing permits, assuming they're in compliance with those requirements. If you want to make this an advisory article, you can do that too. That's a legal amendment that a lot of communities do, where you append a statement that says this article is non-binding and advisory, so that it's like a sense of the meeting of you get to communicate as voters what the community wants with respect to fireworks, but has no binding legal effect. That's another way of amending an article that is like problematic or troublesome.
Jerry.
Well, that's what we've done in the past. We've just made them advisory, so I don't see why we can't just make it an advisory article, because reading RSA 160 it says it's the local option statute in New Hampshire that empowers municipalities to regulate, restrict, or prohibit the sale, or possession, or display of permissible fireworks within their jurisdiction. Local governing bodies or town meetings can enact ordinances to override state level allowances for consumer fireworks. Now, my impression was that fireworks were banned in the state of New Hampshire, but they've changed that. So I don't understand. I mean, this is pretty vague language to rescind they got HSA, but it would be RSA 160, because I don't know what you would be rescinding in there, what aspect of it you'd be rescinding. So I would make a motion to change it and just add that it would be an advisory article, and move on from there.
I'll second that.
Was that a motion?
Yes.
I want to ask a question. Josh, did you sign the petition?
There's multiple people here today that signed the petition.
Can somebody come up and speak towards the intent of what they signed?
I believe the intent was to allow for the use of fireworks in town, as New Hampshire allows for. The sale was not even the topic of discussion. It was just simply the use of it.
So if somebody wants to make an amendment, Valerie has the form, please write down, or if you want to go with councils. Oh, he did make it? Okay, Jerry. There you go.
Yes, he's working on it right now. Oh. We actually printed out some of our own forms. We're just as handy as you are. After 20 years, you catch on to something. It's like, hey, I got an idea. I just came up with a revolutionary idea.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, Rose Cleveland, Union, New Hampshire. Could you explain more about the advisory part of the motion?
Jerry.
I'm sorry?
The advisory part of the motion. Can you explain that more?
would that eliminate them being able to vote in fireworks?
That would, yeah, I guess what my motion was just to make the article to be advisory, so
So would it stand as it is for now until, that's
I
what-
believe it would stand as it is, but it would just let voters know that it's a non-binding decision, it's a non-binding vote, it's only advisory, so that it might be something the selectmen could look at in the future, or
Okay, because I have a real concern about this. When we first moved here, where I live between Middleton and Milton, and I have to deal with their fireworks. And I still have to deal with fireworks here, even though they're illegal. And they almost burnt my house down. They were doing fireworks, and they were coming and landing on my roof. And we're really dry here most of the time in summertime. And with everybody's houses being at the value that they are, we would think that we would not want that in our community. But hopefully, so thank you.
Thank you. Charlie, you seconded that?
Yeah,
Right.
I just got just
yeah,
a
that sounds
comment.
good to me.
Is it possible that in the future, when we do discuss this in more detail, I understand the thought process about not selling it in town. I just so not see it stores and all these things show up in town. But is it possible to restrict the length of time of use, such as everybody likes fireworks, well, most everybody likes fireworks around the 4th of July time. Would we be able to give would we be able to vote to be able to give a certain amount of time that is an allowance of using the product? Such as the 4th of July week or the month of July would be permissible to use the materials to go.
So the statute does allow municipalities to adopt a local ordinance you'll have a lot more control. It's a better way of regulating fireworks than having a select board vote in 1988 and then having like the community vote in 2026. Like that's the sort of roughest way to do it. The better way is through an ordinance that gives you more control. You can look at the different types of fireworks that you allow and so forth. So yes.
So that may be something that we look into the future. Being on the planning board, I will assume this is a planning board issue, that we would bring this up. In an opinion, I don't have a problem for that week. I would hate to see it every day of the week, but I mean, it's a celebration process that this happens, and I get that sometimes it bothers people. But if we could limit it to a time frame that, because most of the time that people use fireworks, and it's the only time that I would see, is usually in the celebration of the independence.
Charlie, I hate to interrupt on you. I just want to, we've got a motion second on the floor, so I want to keep the discussion on this first, which can come in, you can address it under this. So a motion has been made to Article 26 to amend it from, to rescind RSA 160C:6 to read, to rescind RSA 160-6:6, this warrant article to be advisory only. So now we can have the discussion on this because there is a motion and a second on the floor. So we can have discussion around this change of worded.
My point was, the way that it stands today, we voted on this pretty contentiously several years ago, and we didn't want this. We didn't, the vote was no fireworks to be allowed. It just feels like there are people that are trying to go around and reverse the majority of the vote for that. So I would like to see it stay the same. That's why I was asking you for the language, the way that it is today, which is no fireworks, no sales, none of that.
Josh, I'll get to you in 1 second. Council, I wanted to ask something. If this gets to the voters that says the new wording, what would a yes vote mean and what would a no vote mean?
They would both mean this. They would both mean everything stays the same. Like it's we call it like a
that's good. Yeah.
Non-binding referendum. It's has no binding meaning.
I could see confusion coming up with people reading that going, I don't understand what we're doing.
Yeah. So like really it means the select board will get a sense of what the community thinks. Even though that's kind of vague, they'll have somewhat of a sense of where the community is leaning with respect to this issue, but it has no binding effect, and the current status of things will continue to be the same.
I want to go, Josh, you had your hand up, Josh?
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to the fact that the fireworks go off every year in town. They're on the lakes, and they're everywhere they go off. We don't have enough police force to respond to all those calls that come in for fireworks, from what I understand, and they happen. And I'd like to understand how many wildfires actually have happened in the last 5 years from fireworks lighting off, if Nason has any kind
Chief,
of
do you have an answer for that?
insight on that.
I don't have any stats only because I didn't know this was on the article, and I mean, I didn't know it was on the ballot, but I will say that, number of years ago, we had a house burned down on Jodell Drive because of fireworks. And I will say that this past summer, when it was so dry, we had a bunch of, I don't know whether they were teenagers or what they were, but they went up on the mountain off of Pickpocket, between Pickpocket
Silver
and
Hill.
the lake. And about 11 o'clock or midnight, we got the call. It was a remote area, but fortunately, we were able to drive to the top of the mountain with our four-wheel drives. And with the help of 5 of our mutual aid towns around us, we were able to get it under control at 5 acres. And we were there all night, and we started getting out of there like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. So the biggest thing is, a lot of the care in, they get into remote places as well. We've had issues over in Brookfield up on Tumbledown Dick, when they get out partying and stuff. So it kind of falls on responsibility too, but we do have, issues that happen time to time.
Thank you. Tammy?
Hi, again. That brought me to a different question. What is the penalty? Okay, if somebody does let off fireworks in our town, what is the repercussion?
Chief?
Right now, it's a town ordinance. We can cite them to court. The biggest issue that we have is kind of what Josh was alluded to. We have personnel, but during 4th of July weekends, during busy weekends, we can run anywhere from 2 to 4 officers, and we're chasing fireworks complaints. So the likelihood of actually catching people setting off fireworks in the act it's very difficult, because if you're seeing it at Bella Lake or Level Lake, by the time you see it in the air and you try to respond to said location, 20 minutes have passed and the fireworks are done. So
That's
the
what,
percentage of
but if you
action-
did catch somebody,
we have done it in the past, and we have cited it.
and what is the citation
It's for a court date.
for a court date? What would the
Essentially,
potential?
it's a formal of arrest to go to court.
Okay.
Jerry?
Mr. Moderator, are we still discussing the motion to amend the language in Article 27?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, by making this advisory, it allows us to have a discussion and come up with something that's beneficial for all. It's like, I understand what Charlie's saying, it's a certain time of the year that people are blowing off fireworks. I would like to see it where if they want to blow off fireworks, they come down and get a fire permit or a fireworks permit right down to the fire station like we do when we have burn permits. That way they know where they are and we can respond to it if it gets out of control. But by making this advisory, I think it's the best course of action, because it allows us to discuss and get clarification. The way it is right now, nobody knows what it is, and it could pass.
Dino?
I have a question for Mr. O'Shaughnessy.
Hold on. Dino had a question or a statement.
I'm sorry. I think my only concern, Mr. Moderator, the way the amendment is written, if you're not watching on TV, if you're not physically here today,
It's confusing.
people are going to go to the ballot, and it doesn't matter if it's advisory or not. They have no idea what they're voting on. So again, question to council. It's a good thing he's sitting to my right. A question would be, could they do a friendly amendment to the amendment explaining that it's about fireworks and whether it's legal or not? Or can we not add that language? Because I guarantee you, people are going to go to the ballot box and
It's going to be confusing.
it'll be very confusing.
But if it's can I follow
Oh,
up?
does it, Tammy? It's on this article, right? The
It is,
motion.
well, because all of this is, we're trying to amend it to make it into something that somebody might possibly understand. But if the amendment fails and the language stays, the only language would be on the ballot right now is to rescind RSA 160, whatever. which the voters in this town have absolutely zero authority to do.
No, that wouldn't be it.
They cannot rescind a state law. They can use under the state law, choose to allow fireworks, but they cannot rescind a state law. That is the wrong language. Rescind means you're going to rescind a law. We can't change the laws of the state in this town. If there was an amendment, could we change it to say, shall the town of Wakefield allow the sale or use of fireworks?
That's a really good question, and I think it would clarify.
Which would
answer a lot
have
of-
me asking the
Yeah.
question, and I appreciate what
Let him-
Natalie's
I
saying,
want
that
him to
there's been
answer.
a vote before.
I wanted to answer that.
First of all, I thought this was going to be an easy meeting, Rick.
No.
I tried, sir.
I wasn't going to have to talk a lot.
Well, I got you.
So
There's-
one easy solution might be to do the sort of thing they do in the legislature, which is to direct the town to study the sale and possession of fireworks pursuant to blah, 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 blah.
I do that.
That way it's not like it's a yes or no, whatever. And then you can say advisory only. And the town knows, all right, cool. They want us to look at the sale or possession of firework, but it's not going to impact. That way it's like the subject matter is known, the town knows what's happening. I mean, I'm not trying to impact the amendment, but that might be a better solution. However you want to phrase it.
Do you have a question? Up to the mic, you know.
Sorry, I'm Beth Selden. I live in Sanbornville and I'm on Level Lake. Just a quick comment for everyone. Everyone's concerned about the fireworks. That's great. The other thing is, though, we're very concerned about the lakes. We've voted, or we will be voting, warrant articles to protect our lakes. When the fireworks go off around the lakes,
They go in.
the phosphorus from the fireworks goes into the lakes, into the water, and that's damaging, and that hurts the wildlife, but it also helps bring up the milfoil and other outbreaks. And I really think people should be aware of that as well if we're trying to protect the lakes. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we're gonna stick with this now because we have a motion, we have a second. So I think we've had enough discussion on this. I think we need to bring it to a vote. I want to bring this to a vote. You have something pertaining to this motion?
Yes, I certainly do.
This will be the last one. Go ahead.
So if it becomes an advisory article and the selectmen talk about it and say, well, maybe we do want to have fireworks, does it then have to go back next year to the voters?
It always has to go back.
Okay, thank you.
That's actually a good question. Thank you for that. Okay. Motion and second on this to amend it to read, to rescind RSA 160-C:6, this warrant article to be advisory only. All those in favor of changing it to that, raise your blue card. We get a count.
This is going to be a thing.
I don't think you need to count.
Yeah, I'm think I've got it. Hold on. I'm gonna over 30. Opposed? Yeah, that saved that count. All right. So, Jerry, go ahead.
Yes, I just find it kind of amazing that we spent so much more time discussing a petition warrant article than we did discussing a almost $9 million operating budget.
30 minutes.
Was it 30 minutes? I think we talked about the $8 million operating budget for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good point.
All right, so any other, no, we're not gonna open it. We'll get discussed enough. Tammy, are you doing anything out there? Or are you satisfied with? All right, thank you. That was interesting. So moving on to Article 27. To transact any further business that legally comes before this meeting. Any discussion on that?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second to, is it a second or a question?
I just want to make a statement.
Okay,
We have a person here that's served this town for a number of years as a select person, as a budget committee member. I believe she's still going to be on the Heritage, but I'd like to recognize Connie Tobler for her years of service, but she's not going to run for the Budget Committee this year. So.
Thank you.
Second motion.
Thank you. Wait, what, yeah, another second to the second or?
Before we make the vote, I would like to say a comment as the board chairman. Our board and the budget committee, I feel that we've worked very hard for this budget this year and kept these costs down tremendously. And whether you see it or not, most people, and I've heard this on the streets because I'm on the streets a lot. We get a lot of recognition because your taxes went up. Well, I just want you to know that your taxes didn't go up because of the departments. We went up a little bit because like we explained at the beginning of the year, the insurances and things, and there's things we have no control over. So I just want you to know that this board and any other community, any of the members in these departments have worked very hard to keep this. So that I hope that shows you when you go to the voting booth that we don't need to have the rhetoric. We're doing the best we can because we really do care about this town a lot. So take that to the voting booth, and I hope that we pass with flying colors.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Before I go on that, before I'll make statements, I'm going to make a quick statement myself. I concur with Charlie said. I get a little bit frustrated at times seeing all that we see out in the public about people talking about what should be voted on, how the town should stop spending money. And those of you that might be watching, I'm looking at about 50 people out here in the audience. Dino was gracious enough, along with Tom and I, to host an online session with Clearview to discuss the budget. I think we had 16 people. Natalie, thank you. You were in there asking questions. We do the best we can to be as transparent as possible. And in that session, both Tom and Dino stated that they always answer email and always available to speak with you or the assessors. So please take advantage of that. And I thank you all for coming out in this cold day. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you all very much. Also, half an hour?
Didn't ask me if I had it.
We will reconvene the school in 20 minutes.
I could have commented on that.
Hello, hello.
have been close to me there. Cool, that's you. That's town, okay. So they must not have realized that's town. Wow. Town, all right. Like fireworks. That's exactly more people than I thought were there.
Everything that you have.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Hey, I bring that up all the time, and our cost to pay for the milfoil's gone down, but we get so much, we get most from the town.
And they might send me home.
Public lunch, so we don't get any help from the state.
Building like that,
So that's why they go and they cry. They don't get any money from the state, well, like Charlie says, it's gonna work out.
My son.
Clear it out for us. Hey, so,
I can't imagine that building.
Candy?
I can't eat any of it. Yeah, he didn't have an explanation of what.
Laws. We're not gonna go through, we're not gonna read all that. We'll just say election of officers, and there's no discussion.
I have to light them up.
Read this, and then when I'm done. There's gonna automatically, they gotta, one lady called on. I moved the article, the second, and then I would recognize the person who seconded. Explain it.
Yeah, so. Article, kind of agree. If they do decide to allow,
Like, what about Article 2 on the heights?
I mean, I didn't allow them, it should be a permit, just like for my camp.
All right, just somebody.
On.
Those lights on?
I like this.
People show up sometimes because somebody will go on.
Know the board as much as them, so.
Yeah, we.
All right, just put my script together.
Not Dave.
Somebody else. More cost effective to send individuals.
So you.
Different smart.
So power lines, all kinds of shit.
Thing I ever seen, sending my office, high school because.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazed how well this is prepared. I thought, oh, this is a fucking piece of cake compared to the private school.
Want to take a picture of it?
Do you know? Hey, Ned, I've been so over budget on my.
Chair.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. And she said, hang or I'll be sitting here like.
Research. The stomach flu.
No.
I need here for one, who's the super?
Right, over there.
No.
Here in my apartment. Did they vote to end at 12? BCA.
There we go. Hey, folks, we got about 1 minute, so please take your seats.
I think it's Mark Duffy.
Terms coming up on the school board.
Boom, 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 boom.
One member.
And I knew something was. Yeah.
Dan, should be on the S. I know the town.
Savers
the
now.
Stuff is on the town.
At least not growing them, I guess.
Yep.
She's running. for budget.
There he is.
Don't need any of this stuff. I got mine. It's freaks out. It's gonna be the exact same thing as in the past.
What?
When this all clears.
Good, sir. Thank you.
Which is what.
Appreciate it.
There's a bunch of school being on.
Where's your wife?
She's in the.
Dude.
On the purple side.
Okay, folks, it's 11 o'clock. I'd like to start this. Please take your seats.
It was nice of her to give me a water.
Where are you going?
Yeah.
Kenny, where you going?
Budget buster.
All right, good morning, everyone.
Amen.
Yeah, my name is Rick Dill. I'm your school moderator. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America. Which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Real quickly, just for clarification, everybody that is here has signed back in from the previous session, correct?
No.
If you haven't, please do so at the table.
Okay. No. They said they didn't when we got here.
About a couple minutes ago, huh? All right. My bad. Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Said I'd have to sign in again.
Okay, well,
I'll give you life savers now. I'll give you life savers.
FYI, public service announcement, the elevator is back working. I didn't even know it was down. Okay, so quick introductions. Valerie Ward to my left is school clerk. Is Mark Duffy here, selectman? There he is over there, selectman. Again, Jim O'Shaughnessy is the Wakefield Town Council. Superintendent Donna Magoon, Principal Melissa Dorsey. Chairman of the school committee is Robert Koffelmaker, Bob Oulette, Mary Collins, Sandrea Talifero, she's not here, and Heather Wilcox. We also have the budget committee. Jerry O'Connor, could you introduce each one of your people from the board, please, or have them introduce themselves?
Start with Mark. Yeah.
Go ahead, start from the left, Josh.
Mark Duffy, Selectman's representative.
Josh Fuller.
Mark Telefaro.
Scott Cadet.
John Parker.
Tom Daniels, Vice Chair.
Jerry O'Connor, Chairman.
Connie Twombly.
Thank you very much. As mentioned, this is the the school deliberative session, a time where we will review the town warrant or the school warrant, which will be voted on at Town Hall on Tuesday, March 10th, 2026, with the polls opening up at 8 a.m. and closing at 7 p.m. At this point, all registered voters should have a blue and red voting card on you. If not, get one from the clerk's table. All non-registered Wakefield folks, please be seated at the first bleacher on my left. By default, only registered voters can make motions and vote. However, I would ask the registered voters if they would allow non-residents, non-registered attendees to speak during this discussion, understanding they may only speak and not make motions or vote. Is there a motion to allow non-residents, non-registered attendees to speak at the session? There is none, so we will move. Thank you. So we'll begin with the rules of, observe the rules of order. I ask that you please rise and move to the podium if you have a question, and you will be recognized there. Please state your name, at least for the first time that you speak. Person who has the floor is not to be interrupted, and please limit your remarks to about 5 minutes. Some people have a hard time hearing, so please use the microphone at the podium each time you speak. You will be allowed to speak a second time after all have had a chance to speak. If you are speaking to the same issue for the same time, you may be limited to about 2 minutes. Please direct your remarks to the chair and refrain from a back and forth debate session. I want clarification on this. If, let's say, Mr. O'Connor is having a conversation with counsel, he does not need to be re-recognized again if he has a follow-up question. At the request for a secret ballot must be made by 5 or more people who are present and be in writing. We have a form with Valerie that you can request this and make you available to you. A motion to reconsider a vote must be made immediately following the subject discussion and before moving on to the next article. All amendments must be submitted to the moderator in writing. No more than 1 amendment may be on the floor at a time. At this time, I would like to recognize Assistant Moderator Philip Twombly with the traditional Bill Twombly motion on adjournment.
Mr. Moderator, I move that this session of the school district warrant be adjourned by 1 p.m. and that no article be taken up for consideration after 12:50 p.m. In the event that all articles in the warrant have not been acted upon, the moderator is authorized to reconvene the session at a date, time, and place which meets the approval of all of the majority of the voters present.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, I will now read the 2026 school warrant. Article 1 is the election of officers. This does not need any discussion on it. So we will just move on to Article 2. Operating budget. The average cost per pupil for the preceding year is calculated in accordance to RSA 189:75 LA is 20,642. ELA proficiency 34%, math proficiency 25%, science proficiency 17%. Shall the Wakefield School District raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and by other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by vote in the first session for the purpose of set forth therein totaling $14,853,058. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $14,665,129, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous actions of the Wakefield School District or by law or governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40, 13, 10, 10 and 16 to take up the issue of revising the operating budget. We have a Wakefield School Board recommends by a vote of 3-2. Wakefield Budget Committee recommends by a vote of 8-0.
Move the warrant.
Second.
Chair recognizes Mr. Olet. Is that the way you want to do it, Bob? He will explain them?
No.
Whoever seconds is going to
So
explain?
it's all of us are doing it.
Okay,
We
who
don't
should I put your hand up if you're gonna, I'm gonna recognize you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I don't know, everybody can hear me. I just wanted to note real quick that the Superintendent Magoon and the entire staff at the Paul School worked really hard this year to present a very appropriate budget. There were not any things that were on a wish list. They worked really hard to put forth a great, budget just for keeping the school operating. We are dealing with an aging building, and you'll see that, moving forward with the other warrant articles that we do need, infrastructure. You're going to see technology warrant. You're going to see, maintenance and these sort of things. And this isn't going away. The building is old. It's going to need, things as the years move on here. So I just wanted to say thank you to Superintendent Magoon, the entire staff for putting together this budget this year. It was a lot of hard work, and I believe they did a great job.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Seeing none here, now we will move to Article 4. Oh, I'm sorry. 3. Article 3, Area Agreement Committee. Shall the Wakefield School District vote pursuant to RSA 19A 14(3) to form a withdrawal study committee to study the feasibility and sustainability of withdrawing from the area agreement with the Rochester School Department? Mr. DeCoffermaker.
What we're
Are
doing,
you making a motion on it? Is there a motion on this first?
yeah, move the article.
I'll second it.
There you go. Go ahead and discussion, Mr. DeCoffermaker.
Yeah, so, what we would like to do, we have an area agreement with Spalding High School that's been in effect for quite a long time. And this article allows an exploratory committee to be formed, which will be, it'll be comprised of townspeople and school board, teachers, others, to look at what the options are for Wakefield children. Times are changing. There are potentially options that would be better suited for the kids in our town. And this isn't necessarily to walk away from, the area agreement committee. This is just to actually put a study together to see what that looks like.
Thank you. Mr. Fuller?
I just had a quick question. Is this needed where universal open enrollment is now going to be basically implemented and kids have the option to go to any school that they want to, and the tuition is as we pay already, and the parents would be responsible basically to pick up anything above the tuition that we already pay? So we don't have to pick up, so let's say the tuition is $20,000 or $18,000 per kid that we pay out to these towns. We still pay that same amount if these kids went to any school in New Hampshire. And the parents would be responsible to pick up any extra cost above that. So do you need that?
I got you, Connie.
Do you need that if universal open enrollment is law?
Well, we already have a current contract with Spalding High School that only allows a certain percentage of our kids to go to other schools. And but whether we're pacing this with open enrollment or not, right now we're locked in where, I think over the next, 2 to 3 years, Donna, if I'm not mistaken, we can't send any kids anywhere else because of the current contract in place with Spalding High School.
Does that contract get voided if universal open enrollment becomes law?
I'd have to defer to
Is that
council.
council?
My understanding is that this past week, the Senate passed some kind of legislation amending a number of statutes. Many of those amendments were the result of amendments from the floor. I haven't had a chance to look at that in depth. I'm not sure what the Senate is doing is going to have the effect that the Senate wants, in that if they do what they're doing, we're going to have any sense of how to continue to function as school districts and know where students go, where students don't go, or how much people pay, because that's all tied to your residency and having a contract with another district or another school who will accept all of your students. So at this point, the system is completely in flux, and we don't know whether there will be universal enrollment, when it will be enacted, what it will mean, how we'll cap and set our tuition obligations to our other districts, how we'll negotiate contracts with other districts, what happens with our area agreements, ... The entire system is in flux right now, so we have to see where those chips fall before we can really decide where to go. Right now, you have an area agreement with another school district, and the purpose of this is to study that agreement and determine whether some other arrangement would benefit the students in the district.
Connie?
We have done these studies before when I was on the school board, and we found that we could not find any school that would accept all of our students. Now, I don't know if there's been a change in that, if there are other schools now that will accept them, But at that time, all the schools were pretty well full and they couldn't take all of our students that go to Spalding.
Yeah, I'd just like to add that this has been, we've had discussions with other districts. And, you know, there's other districts outside here that have, say, for example, I think it's Barrington, which is a small community. The townspeople have three choices in Barrington. They can send their child to Oyster River, Dover High School, or Co-Brown. And we're not necessarily looking to go away from Spalding but what we're looking at is what are our options? Let's give parents a little more freedom. And I think, Josh, to answer kind of your comment too, we still want to kind of steer the course of action. I mean, what's going on in the state right now is highly confusing. So we feel that the best way to do it is how it would be done traditionally, is that we put it as a warrant article, we get the town to vote on it, we put the committee together. Because under state RSA, that's the current process. So that's why we're kind of taking this approach right now instead of waiting.
Tammy.
Tammy Garthwaite, East Wakefield, New Hampshire. Currently in state law, we offer open enrollment. That is in state law, if I'm not mistaken now. The confusion is who's paying for the tuition for the open enrollment. From my understanding, and I spoke with somebody who's very fluent in the state legislature this morning about education law. The proposal that's in front of the Senate right now, and this matters because our vote isn't until March, so we're 6 weeks out or whatever, is to say, as a receiver town, we could certainly say we only have room for 3 fourth graders. They're not going to be able to just send children that you can't fit into a classroom. Obviously, we wouldn't want, why would anybody want that? The part that the Senate amended this week is in addition to probably tweaking a bunch of other RSAs, is about the funding and who would pay and how. And just for sake of math, because math is easier if it's nice, easy numbers, let's just say the town of Wakefield spends $10,000 per student. I'm not saying that we do, but let's just say that as a nice round, easy number. And a parent wants to send their child to Wolfboro, and Wolfboro has room. So that's the first step. Does Wolfboro have room for the child? Wolfboro has an average cost of $12,000, just as a number. The law would allow that between 80 and 100% of the $10,000 that we already spend on per student would then go to Wolfboro as tuition. That additional $2,000 that Wolfboro usually spends would have to come from the parent. It would also take out of the mix the transportation. So we're not transporting kids to schools all over the place. Now, in this particular article, I agree. You guys should definitely discuss it because this is all going to be impacted by all the open enrollment changes that I think you will see between now and March 10th.
Thank you.
Moderator?
Jerry?
Are we still discussing the formation of a committee to discuss the feasibility of withdrawing from the area agreement?
I believe we are.
Okay,
Thank you.
Connie Littlefield, Wakefield. I'm in full agreement that the school board should be empowered to do this. I know it was a little confusing because we jumped to open enrollment, and that's not what this is talking about. Back in the day, students here in Wakefield had an option to go to either Kingswood, Newt High School, or Spalding. And it's nice to be able to give that opportunity. So go for it and good luck.
Any other questions or comments? Ma'am?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to speak.
Can you get closer to a mic somewhere?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to speak because I think you took a motion and nobody approved.
Oh, you're not?
I'm not a resident.
Okay, then no. Sorry. Jerry?
Haven't we usually allowed board members and administrators to
Do we? Okay, good to know. So I just learned something. Go right ahead, man.
to give us information?
So I know there's some confusion about our students, maybe not being allowed to go, all of them allowed to go to one school. So there's two things that you have. There's an area agreement and an anchor school. So what an anchor school is, an anchor school would be one school. So if we chose Spalding as our anchor school, That would be the one school that we would say to parents, we will provide transportation to that school. And Spalding would agree to accept any and all of our students. Then we would speak to other schools, other high schools, and we would say, we may have some students that are choosing to go. It's almost like a menu. So what I would do is put together a menu and say, here's your options of what you have as a parent to choose once your child graduates from 8th grade. They can go to Spalding. We provide transportation. They can go to Kingswood. It may cost a little bit more money depending upon what the Kingswood board and our board's contract agrees to, but it may not. They may honor the price that Spalding is. And parents would have that option. So that's what we're looking at. So Spalding would be the anchor school that would accept all. That, if a student couldn't get into one of those other schools, then they would have, so to speak, the fallback, right? They would have an option. So it wouldn't be that our students would be hanging out there with no school. So we're looking at that. Why we're trying to go away from the area agreement is basically because it states in there that only a percentage of our students can go outside of Rochester. So right now, we're at that max, and we will be probably for the next 2 years. So our current 8th graders and our current 7th graders and potentially our current 6th graders, those parents do not have an option to go to any other school except for Rochester. So there will be no lottery. Normally, we can do a lottery, and our 8th grade students are chosen. For the next 3 years, we're looking at the potential of none of our children that are in 8th grade currently, 7th grade, and 6th grade being in a lottery. So that's what we're looking to do. And this will give the option for parents to, so to speak, choose from that menu to what is a better fit for your child versus, trying to put every child into, like they say, a round circle and a square peg, right? It may not fit for their child. This gives them that choice to be able to make what is best for their child. And that's
So
what we're looking to do.
let me clarify that though, that this motion is to create a study, correct?
Correct. It'll create.
So let's keep on that to see if a study, because I think all that kind of information is important for the people that are in the study.
Yes.
But a yes vote on this is not automatically allowing parents to go to a different school.
Correct.
It's to create, okay, I just want a clarification of that. Am I good with that, Jerry? Thank you. Any other comments, discussion, questions? Sir, go ahead.
The area agreement with Rochester, is that forever or is that renegotiated over periods of time?
It's forever. And I actually have copies of it back there, and it's on our website. I can give one to you. It's forever. We've had it for many years. And in order for us to get out of the area agreement, this is one of the first step to it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, discussions? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll move to Article 4. To see if the Wakefield School District will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $80,000 to be added to the gym floor expendable trust fund previously established. This was recommended by the school board by a vote of 5-0 and recommended by the Wakefield Budget Committee by a recommendation of 8-0.
I'll move the article.
I'll second it.
So we had a new gym floor installed in 2022. Unfortunately, it wasn't installed correctly. The school board spent the next 18 months looking into, the guarantee from the company that had installed the floor to no avail. We only ended up with $25,000 from the insurance to replace the new installed floor. We've had various safety repairs that have had to have been done in the last 3 years and it's cost almost $3,000 for that. We have a quote for the new gym floor, which is $83,600, and it's a different type of flooring material. It'll last longer. Because what happens now is the vinyl, there's hollow surfaces underneath, so water's getting in there and it's uneven. And actually the lines for the basketball nets were off
by like 6 inches. So it's been very disheartening to know that with the new floor, we have to go through the process all over again. So yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you. Any questions, Connie?
Is there anything left in that fund?
Oh, yes, there is,
500?
let's see. Oh,
9,516.42.
95, 46, 63.
yep,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any additional questions? Comments? Seeing none, hearing none, we will move to Article 5. To see if the Wakefield School District will vote to establish a new bleacher trust fund per RSA 198-20-CV for the purpose of replacing current gym bleachers and raise and appropriate $55,000 to be placed in the fund and to name the Wakefield School Board as agents to expend. This was recommended by the school board of a vote 5-0 and recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-1.
I'll move the article.
I'll second it.
So to give you a little bit of background, these bleachers that we have at the school they're approximately 40 years old or more. They are well outside of their service life. The company that we use to just do their inspections, you know, they pass because it's grandfathered, but that's it. So, you know, they're not accessible. They don't meet handicap requirements. They're heavy. It's a safety concern. There's pinch points. I mean, I could go on and on. You know, these are your old wooden bleachers. So they really do need to be upgraded. You know, part of it is just making sure that we keep everybody safe, whether it's the kids or townspeople or anybody that's using that gym and using those bleachers. That's it.
Thank you. Questions? Comments? Seeing none here, none. Oh, Jerry.
I'm just curious of the wording of this. Are we going to call this expendable trust fund or capital reserve fund, or which one is it going to be? Or does it might not even matter?
I didn't hear the question.
Well,
What was the question, Jerry?
The wording says new bleachers trust fund. So I'm just curious if we're going to call it a capital reserve fund or an expendable trust fund, or if it matters.
I don't think it matters.
Okay, thank you.
Quite right, go ahead. Does council have any input on that? He's looking, that's what I thought, sorry.
No, it doesn't matter.
Thank
That
you.
provision of the law says the terms are interchangeable.
Thank you. All right, on to Article 6. Classroom renovation. To see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $55,000 to be added to the classroom renovation capital reserve account previously established. This was approved by the Wakefield School Board by a vote of 5-0 and the Wakefield Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0-1.
I'll move the article.
Second, a little bit of background on this. This is not a new project. We have been replacing the carpets in most of the classrooms to a luxury vinyl flooring, which will help us in the long run keep the floor up for many, many years beyond that. Also, our student desks that we have in equipment is beyond useful life now. Many classrooms are old, unstable, in some areas not held together with staples. Repairs are no longer practical or safe.
Connie.
How much is left in that fund?
$60,050.
Yeah, $60.
It says $60.50. Any questions? Seeing none here, and then we'll move to Article 7. Paving 76 Taylor Way. To see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $60,000 to be added to the paving of 76 Taylor Way expendable trust fund previously established. This was approved by, recommended by the Wakefield School Board by a vote of 4-1, and the Wakefield Budget Committee by a vote of 5-3. Motion?
Oh, sorry, we'll move the warrant.
I'll second it.
Go ahead.
This is actually completion of the paving of 76 Taylor Way, excuse me. In 2022, we completed the back of the school and extending from curb to curb for the ball fields and through the newly created bus yard and around the modular classroom. But the front section was scheduled to be paved once funds became available in the trust fund again. However, it wasn't until 2025 that the district received approval to move forward with the project. When they started the project, it was determined that the drainage system was collapsed and in disrepair. So those funds were used to fix the drainage system. So this project would finish paving those remaining sections that never got paved that were supposed to be paved. And it's the section in front of the school, which has numerous cracks and keeps getting potholes and is past the point of being able to seal coat it at this point. The project was already underway, which is one of the reasons for continuing this project so we can finish it up. The delay was due to unforeseeable issues that were not known when we started the second part of the project to repave it. Obviously, there are safety concerns. Delaying will increase costs, as we know. Construction costs, paving costs just keep going up. And it protects our prior investments in this project. It prevents the additional maintenance we have to keep throwing at it to keep it somewhat safe. So in the long run, it ensures durability and longevity of this section of road.
Thank you. It might be helpful if you would.
The balance in the trust
There you go.
is $8,317.70.
You read my mind. Thank you. Questions? Bob?
I just have a comment that, just so everybody knows, when we did the original paving project, Brock and his team came in and they really helped with the cost. And, I'd just like to, not only point out that the DPW is always wanting to help the school. We have a lot of asphalt over there and there's, again, a lot of infrastructure that goes into that property. So Brock's always been fantastic. He was involved with the repairs of the culverts. Like we're doing our best to, again, do this on a budget. So we'll hopefully be able to harness Brock again to finish this.
Thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Seeing none here, now we'll move to Article 8. To see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 to be added to the Special Education Expendable Trust Fund previously established. Wakefield School Board recommends by a vote of 5-0. The Wakefield Budget Committee recommended by a vote of 6-2.
I move the article.
Second.
Excuse me, Special Education Fund has a balance of $164,267.41. We keep this fund. We ask for funding every year to have backup money for new student placements or a change in a student needs. And this way, with this fund, the money does not come out of the regular operating budget. So that's like an insurance. If there's any changes in our special ed students, we have the money. That's it.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Comments? Jerry?
We had maintained about $100,000 in that fund originally when we started it years ago. So this will bring you up to 210 or so. Do you have that money earmarked for something that you're anticipating you're going to use it on right away?
Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Currently, we do not have it earmarked for someone, but this could be if a student moves into our district or someone in our district that needs additional out-of-district placement or anything such as that. As we know, a student, we had a student that actually moved in this past school year that was an out-of-district placement, and it's very costly, and we're mandated by law to follow the child's IEP. So if they have out-of-district placement, there's no option for us. We have to do it.
Right.
So this money is to help us offset the cost. So we're not going into our regular budget to take the money, our operating budget. It's a specialized.
I understand that. I just was curious because like I say, when we started it years ago, the balance we were shooting for was 100,000. Now it's 200,000. So I was just curious. Thank you.
Go ahead, Bob.
Donna, can you, or Michelle, could you give a little bit of a glimpse in like what a worst case scenario is cost wise on average for an out of district placement? If we have one come in mid-year.
It could be up,
Go ahead.
it could be up to 150,000 for out-of-district student,
For one child.
for one child.
Jerry, is that, any other follow-up on that? Are you good?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you okay with that?
Oh,
Any
yeah, I'm
follow-up?
good. I was just curious. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tammy?
Thank you. My question was very similar. So I can appreciate that out of district placement might be 150, but maybe what the average or what the, median cost per student for extra special ed, because not all special ed needs are out of district placement, right?
Correct.
I'm just trying to better understand it. So for instance, maybe what did we spend as a town on special education last year? Maybe that would help. I just don't think I don't think the average voter can wrap their head around what kind of money.
If you, can I just need to defer to my special ed. If she can speak on that. Carol, the cost for.
I have last year's. Last year's actual was $2,522,500.
Total.
Is that your question?
Well, I'm just trying to, but that would those funds have come out of the operating budget, that and this is just a contingency more.
Excuse me, I can't see very well. 2,000,009. Sorry, my contacts are dirty.
Carol, can you
2.9
direct
million.
student services? So that type of a
Are
question.
you one of the registered voters?
Oh, no, I was called up. I'm sorry.
She's she would know the special ed.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. That question is so hard to answer. So we pay the regular, we have the regular tuition for a student. And then let's talk simple terms. A student just needs speech therapy.
Perfect.
There's the cost of that. They may need specially designed instruction in reading. They may need specially designed instruction in math, physical therapy, counseling by a school psych. All of that type of services, those types of services can be done at the Paul School. If the student requires a specialized type of school placement because the needs are so severe that we can't meet those at the Paul School, it's kind of the exact same answer. So we find a school that meets that student's needs. There's the tuition. Then there's speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, transportation. So for a typical out-of-district placement, there's no simple answer. To give an approximate, it's between 80,000 and 150,000. But keep in mind, the school that is 80,000 may not meet that student's needs.
Correct.
And then transportation is on top of that.
Because that's a different.
Exactly.
Transportation has nothing to do with any of these numbers. The 2.9 million, just trying to better understand. So the 2.9 million is what we spent last year.
Correct.
And that came 100% out of the operating budget.
Yes.
So if we have 164 and you're asking for 50, you're looking to get to, as Jerry mentioned, you're looking to get to $215,000 in a fund, but the fund is really just a contingency as a backup. Can funds come out of that expendable trust fund for anything other than you've exceeded the budget?
Last year, we took out $104,000 from the trust fund to help with our operating budget.
Jim, I see you moved the mic. Do you want to provide any input?
I can just help. So the fund isn't restricted to emergencies. It's for meeting those unanticipated special education costs. I just heard a kind of a question that was left unanswered about transportation. The transportation of special ed students is also a special ed cost, and she can confirm, but in my experience, the transportation costs can sometimes exceed the cost of the tuition itself if you're having to provide a specialized bus to drive a child to and from a school that's far. Like sometimes those costs now are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That's correct.
Thank you. Jerry?
I'm sure it doesn't, I don't think the wording in the capital reserve fund or in that fund that when we have that now is for like emergencies, but I know that initially when we did start that fund up, years ago, one of the, I think the most important thing the school board had said was we needed to have this money in case somebody moved into the district during the year that needed those services. And it wasn't something that we had covered already in the operating budget. So like I say, it doesn't say emergency or anything in the fund, but that is what taxpayers were told when we created that fund initially. Thank you.
Yeah, Jerry, that is correct. That's why we started the fund years ago, because under certain circumstances, when there was a special ed need, it would come from the regular ed budget. So there was always a loss with the regular ed budget. That's why we started this trust fund. So we wouldn't have to take away from,
Yeah, I remember.
the other kids. Yeah, that's why. Thank you.
Bob?
It is very common for us year after year to go over budget on special ed because of, we try to anticipate with the current population what our budget is, but I mean, it's not uncommon for us midstream to get kids that come into the school district, and therefore it puts our special education over budget, so we can balance that out based on the need.
I'd also like to state that this is not just for children that move into our district. We could have students in our district currently that may need specialized instruction in another school. So we could potentially use this money if a student gets sick, and that's what this money is there for as well. So it's not just necessarily somebody moving into our district. It could be a current student that we have. We've placed students out of district that were started with us in kindergarten, and they may be in second and third grade now, and they're out of district placed.
Jerry?
Well, just to clarify what my statement was, I did say that there's nothing in that fund that says that it has to be an emergency before it can be spent. My simple point was that 12 or 15 years ago, when we created this account, what we were told was that we have special education in the operating budget, but we ran the risk of someone moving into the district and they could cost us $50,000 or $100,000 a year to educate them. And by law, we would have to absorb that cost, and we didn't have it in the operating budget. So that was why we created this fund to cover those losses. And I'm not saying that you absolutely have to have an emergency to get that money out of there, because June 30th of last year, we took money out of there and there was no immediate emergency except overspending the budget. Thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll move on to Article 9. Thank you, ma'am. To see if the Wakefield School District will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 to be added to the Technology Trust Fund Expendable Trust Fund. Say that 10 times. Previously established. The Wakefield School Board recommends by this appropriation by a vote of 5-0. The Budget Committee recommends this appropriation 1-7.
Move the article.
I'll second it.
Jerry, can we have them discuss?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jerry. What's your question?
Well, the Budget Committee does not recommend this by a vote of 1-7. There was 1 in favor of it and 7 opposed to it. So that should say the Wakefield Budget Committee does not recommend this appropriation by a vote of 1-7.
Very good. Right. Well taken.
I think.
Connie?
I agree.
So I apologize. You're going to hear me talk for a really long time as to why this is so important. First of all, student safety comes first, And we now no longer talk about physical safety. We have to talk about online safety. So this fund supports Chromebook web filtering to block inappropriate, violent, or harmful content, both at school and at home. Google Workspace safety tools that monitor suspicious activity and protect student accounts. Our current systems are aging and were not designed for modern online risks. This fund allows the district to prevent incidents, not just respond after harm occurs. Number two, cybersecurity threats are increasing. Schools are now common targets for cyber attacks and ransomware. Events in New Hampshire, in fact, are up 400% since 2016. So I have a lot here. My pages are stuck together. So what this would do, adding money to this fund would allow us to protect student and staff data in Google Workspace, including email, Google Drive, Google Classroom, secure login systems and multi-factor authentication for staff, cybersecurity monitoring and faster response times using Incident IQ, ticketing, and asset tracking. And this is needed to protect student records, payroll data, and special education information. Number three, legal compliance and reduced liability. Schools are required to safeguard student data. So with this money, we will be complying with FERPA, COPA, which is the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, and SIPA, Children's Information Protection Act requirements, proper filtering on all student Chromebooks to maintain eligibility, documented technology management through Incident IQ. So we really do need to keep up with all these items so we don't fall behind and risk data breaches, lawsuits, emergency spending to fix the data breaches. Number four, it allows for planned responsible budgeting. We haven't had a plan in place for replacement of Chromebooks. Infrastructure hardware is very old. Predictable renewal of Google Workspace and security licenses. So this would help us to not have surprise costs and provides transparency in how technology dollars are spent. Number five, it provides access and equity for all students because all students must have safe technology. But technology is not an option in the classroom anymore. Every child needs to have a computer to take assessments, to do their homework. So this isn't a luxury. And outdated technology affects students who depend on school-issued devices the most. Number six, supports teaching and learning. Teachers need reliable systems to focus on instruction. So this helps with stable Google Classroom access for assignments and assessments, helps keep reliable Wi-Fi and device performance during instruction, and also helps with faster issue resolution. So we really do need to keep a safe, dependable technology to keep our learning moving forward. Number seven, investing now saves money later. Planned upgrades cost far less than emergency fixes. So we could replace aging Chromebooks before failure, update security tools before vulnerabilities are exploited, avoid expensive recovery costs from cyber incidents, avoid expensive recovery costs for hardware and infrastructure failures, which we have already gotten into dealing with some of these failures, and update existing hardware before failure and downtime. So in summary, the Technology Trust Fund protects students online, secures sensitive data, supports teachers and learning, provides responsible, transparent budgeting, and saves taxpayer money over time. And just for perspective, and we have not adopted this yet, so this is just sort of a ballpark figure. We just started looking at a technology 5-year plan. That plan, draft plan, has a 5-year cost of $766,000. So that's why I am here speaking to you about this warrant article. The current Technology Trust Fund has $72,987.49.
Okay, a couple quick things first. Jerry, did you have a motion to change that? Or should the school committee,
I'm sorry.
a motion to amend that school committee, budget committee does not recommend?
I'm all set, thanks.
Just thought I'd note that this is a notation that the
Oh.
board will change when it gets placed on the ballot. And so it
Okay.
doesn't need to be moved or amended by
Cover my
the
bases.
meeting. It will be changed for the ballot.
Thank you for covering my
Thank you.
bases. And I truly appreciate the in-depth information that you've provided. I would like to, in the future, see if we have any questions from the audience and let them, it may address some of the questions. Yes, Tammy.
Hi, so there's 72,000 in the fund. You'd like to increase that to 122,000. And I'm not anti-technology by any means. And I get the whole cybersecurity and all the technology needs, and kid needs a Chromebook. I get all that. In the budget, there's $236,000 being already spent on technology just this year alone. So I'm assuming that goes towards technology. I am very curious if I can know why the budget committee so much opposed this, because there's something more to this than I think the people watching are hearing.
Does anybody want to respond for that from the budget committee?
There's no plan. That's why it was voted. I'm just going to speak for myself as to why I voted it down.
But
There is
we're
no,
just told there's a $766,000 plan.
there is no approved plan, and that plan never made it to the budget committee. The budget committee has never seen a plan for the technology in the school. So the reason, I'm just speaking for myself personally, why I voted it down, there was no plan.
And I will just say, I said,
Wait a minute, wait. That's the question for the budget committee. Budget committee answered it. Any further questions?
I would love to hear why the school, there's obviously something. I would like the people watching at home to have the best information possible when they go to cast a
I
vote.
thought it was directed to the budget committee. That's why I asked. Go ahead.
It's fine.
I just wanted to make it clear that we don't have an approved plan. It's a draft plan, so it has not been approved by the board.
By the school board.
Correct.
Can I ask why there's no approved plan? Why, but you're coming to the taxpayers and asking me to give
Let
you more
Bob,
money?
hey, Bob.
Yeah, I can give a little bit of clarification. It kind of goes back to what I said in the beginning of the session, where we are dealing with aging infrastructure. We were dealing with technology staff that there was no forward-thinking plan. And this is not just in the last couple of years, this is going back, where technology is outpacing what the school was doing for infrastructure, technology infrastructure. We're a small town. We're trying to get salaries to hire the appropriate technology person. We've struggled with that throughout the years. We've done outsourcing of technology due to all the changes and in and outs of what has transpired in the past. All of the infrastructure is a mess. I mean, we had old servers, we had old switches, we're talking about cameras that weren't working. We're talking about computer systems that weren't talking to each other. I mean, the whole network, without getting too techie about it, it's archaic, not working to the amount of data that's required. And, our current staff is, first of all, the school board was presented at our last meeting because we asked for it, a technology plan. The reason it wasn't approved at the last meeting is because we wanted to go back and get more clarification on some of those items for the plan. But that plan is to bring our school up to date. We have no choice but to bring the school up to date. We actually have had outages this year. Kingswood had a big outage just last year that, this hackers can get in. I will tell you that my email at work was hacked last week, and apparently I asked a customer to wire us $200,000. I have nobody can figure out, and we have a professional IT team that can figure out where that came from. So, we are at risk right now, and the amount of money these things are very expensive. This infrastructure is not something that's cheap. On top of the fact that if something goes down mid-year, we could end up spending $10,000 or $20,000. So we're not only trying to use the money to bring the school up to date and keep us moving forward with technology. This is, we also need to provide the technology to the student population, to keep them moving forward as well. So it's a lot.
Sir?
Yeah, thanks. Do we have an insurance policy to cover terrorism or these cyber attacks? Does the school carry any kind of insurance on that?
Yes, we have insurance through Primex for cyber attack.
Okay, so we wouldn't have to pay a ransom then? Is that
Well,
correct?
That doesn't cover all of it.
No, I'm pretty sure your coverage, and I don't think insurance covers the payouts you have to make for a ransomware attack. I think they provide legal counsel to assist you in negotiating, in other compliance, communicating with the community about data breaches and so forth. But in cases I've handled involving school districts that have been subject to ransomware attacks, there is no, that comes out of your budget if you have to actually make a payment.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, Bill Marshall from Sanbornville. Does the town actually have an IT? Shouldn't there be one IT resource that can be shared across the town, the school, and that would be more cost effective?
I know we have outsourced IT for the town. Your name, sir?
I just wanted to speak to that in particular. The needs for the town and the school are completely different. So joining them together, the idea of joining them together, it wouldn't serve either very well because we're dealing with the town and students. That's all I wanted to say about that.
Question, Jerry?
Yes, it just I pick up on something Tom said about when the question was asked about the vote on this, and he had mentioned that we didn't really know what we were getting into, and this was presented to us at the budget committee meeting and the public hearing. I think we discussed some things, but, and I might be mistaken, but this right here was the first time I heard anything about ultimately a $750,000 upgrade to technology over at the school. And I think that in itself is kind of maybe the reason that most of the budget committee members were a little apprehensive about stepping into that, so.
Well, the school
Thank
board
you.
hasn't approved it yet, right?
Sorry?
The school board hasn't approved that plan yet.
Right. I yield back.
Is there a question?
A statement? Can I just say one thing? One more thing? Thank you. So this is the first time in 6 years that we are receiving a technology plan. Yes, it's late for the budget, but I want to say the reason we stopped receiving the tech plan 6 years ago was because the state does not require the district to send it in. So it's only for the school and the community. The state no longer requires for the school districts to turn in a technology plan. Before they used to, so.
Connie, go ahead, and I'll get you, Mark.
Because of this technology business, which I'm not really into it, but my great-grandchildren are, and I appreciate everything you do at the school to make them safe. And it really worries me that they're so into this, but that's the generation and that's what's going on. Please just keep them safe.
Do you have a statement or a question, Mark?
No, I just got a statement because I voted against this too, and it was basically presented to us as for replacement of laptops and other items, and
Could you turn the mic towards you, please?
it was basically presented to us for the replacement of the laptops, which I understand, but they had money in their fund. And the reason I voted down is like, well, there's no other plan. You have money, go and buy these things. So if you're going to replace laptops, go out and replace the laptops and do what you do. Come back to us next year with a more, a plan that we can wrap our head around. But you have money in there, use it. If you're going to replace hardware, use it. You're going to replace switches, use it. But you got a significant amount in there and you're not using it.
All right, any other questions on this motion, this article? All right, seeing none here, now we'll move over to Article 10. Thank you all. To see if the Wakefield School District will vote to establish a new truck capital trust fund per RSA 19820CV to purchase a truck and to raise the appropriate sum and appropriate the sum of $40,000 to be placed in the fund and to be named the Wakefield School Board as agents to expend.
I'll move the article.
Second. Couple information on this. So we currently have a 2012 Chevy Silverado Flintstone truck with 310,000 miles on it. And I believe it was bought 5 years ago. We have a lot of safety issues with this truck. It's rough. It is not roadworthy. So that limits us to go to the dump to go pick up the material. We don't ask anybody to use their own vehicle, so we're really struggling with this vehicle. We use it for plowing also in the school area. It's on its last legs. You know, we're asking for $40,000 to go in there. Trucks these days, wood plows are $100,000 easy. This is an article that hopefully will get passed.
Thank you. Any questions?
Just have a comment. Same thing with the previous article about the budget committee. Are we actually recommending it if it's a neutral vote, 4-4?
Go ahead, Jerry.
Can I just respond? I know that I had the same question Scott has, but I know that if you have a motion or something, if it's a tie vote, it doesn't pass. So I'm not sure if that would be a recommendation or a non-recommendation.
Jim,
What would we put there?
you're up.
I saw that one too, and this falls into the category, if this is how you do things here, I don't want to mess with it, but it depends what the form of the motion was. If the motion on the floor was, board members, do we recommend Article 11, 10, and it was a tie vote, then the motion doesn't pass, and so it's a vote to not recommend. That's how I would do it.
Okay.
That's how the vote was. That's how the vote.
Do you agree, Rick? Is that?
No, I do. I was making my notes and looking around.
Yeah, so the vote at the budget committee was to not, would then.
Yeah, I would say
mean
the
it did
budget
not
committee
recommend.
does not recommend, and then 4-4.
Right.
Right.
Any other questions? See you chomping at the bit, Tammy. You're waiting for Article 12. I know. All right, seeing on here, now we will move on to Article 11. Maintenance contingency. To see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $40,000 to be added to the maintenance contingency expendable trust fund previously established. The Wakefield School Board recommends by a vote of 5-0, and the Wakefield Budget Committee recommends by a vote of 8-0.
I'll move the article.
I'll second it.
Okay, so this is the fund, actually, this is a current fund with a balance of $24,746.13. This is an important fund because I feel like a broken record now, but we have an aging school building, and aging infrastructure, and things are happening every year where we need to pull out money to get emergency repairs done. This past year, we used it for, we've actually spent, $38,600 to have systems fixed. We actually had last year, I can't remember, I don't have the cost, but we had a water leak last winter in a kitchen that cost quite a bit of money to get repaired. And these things are going to continue to happen. So we have this fund to make sure that we have those things covered.
Thank you. Any questions? Comments? Seeing none here, now we'll move to Article 12. Okay, shall the school district vote to designate Paul School as an open enrollment elementary school under the provisions of RSA 194D to limit the number of students who reside outside of Wakefield School District who may attend the Paul School under the provisions of RSA 194D to no more than 5% of the total enrollment in the Wakefield School District, and limit the percentage of Wakefield School District students who may attend open enrollment schools located outside of the Wakefield School District, which is 0%. Doesn't seem like there's been any vote on this, so Tammy, you're up. Oh, Josh, sorry.
So just again, with the universal open enrollment, would that even pertain anymore if that goes through? Or does it
Go ahead.
basically get voided out? I know we don't know where the chips are gonna fall, but as it's laid out right now.
So from my understanding,
You
that-
close to the mic, please.
So from my understanding that the districts are putting this in their article to protect the towns from which the students reside. And so if the open enrollment is to go fully past, then this could trump that.
Okay.
So that's what we're looking to do. So it's a safeguard. So if you do not have this open enrollment warrant article, then if the laws decides that schools do become open enrollment, then your students the students would then be allowed to go to school choice, which the district would pay a % of that and no transportation. However, if you have this article, it protects your community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tammy?
I'd really like to see the RSA that allows us to say to the Wakefield students that you're not allowed to leave. Because I'm 99.9% confident there is nothing in state law that says the town of Wakefield can prevent children from going to another school in open enrollment.
Cost-wise, maybe.
Go ahead, Chip.
Hi, so currently, the open enrollment law has been, I believe, around since 2009. No district has ever acted upon it until a few years ago. Your neighbors in Prospect Mountain created an open enrollment plan over there, and a number of kids from surrounding districts parents have sent their kids to that school, and Prospect Mountain has sent a bill to those sending districts, and that went through some litigation, and at the end of the day, the courts all agreed that the open enrollment statute is valid, and the legislative body can't prevent students in your district from going into an open enrollment school unless you've, under current law, adopted an open enrollment program yourselves. And I can read the language in the statute. Again, I'm operating on what current law is. I'm not going to speculate about what the legislature may or may not do, because that's an impossible task. It's just too much. I read the amendments. I know what they're trying to accomplish. I don't know how it all fits together and ultimately where it's going to be. But under current law, it says, and I'm quoting RSA 194-D:3, numeral 1, it says, I just lost it. Gosh. This is C1. In adopting the provision of RSA 194-D, which is open enrollment, a school district shall, it's a requirement, impose limitations on the number of its resident pupils who may attend open enrollment schools located inside and outside the district. So you have to set limitations on students who can attend outside of the district. These limitations shall be represented as any percentage between 0 and 100% of the district's current pupil enrollment. So that is current law, and it requires you in adopting open enrollment to set a percentage between 0 and 100.
Thank you. Tammy? Oh, go ahead, sir.
Do we currently have that, or is this to establish that?
So right now, if your resident students attend an open enrollment school in another district, you have to send 80% of your tuition dollars to that other district. And that's money out the door. So as taxpayers, although open enrollment is a great concept, and I'm not going to debate the political ideologies of it, as taxpayers, you're going to raise and appropriate money to operate your schools for your resident students, many or some of whom may go to other districts, and then you're going to cut checks to those other districts. So if 10 kids go and it's $20,000, that's 10 times $20,000. You do the math, but that's how open enrollment will work. You won't have any ability to control your expenses as taxpayers in the community if there is universal open enrollment. I think the state has some awareness of this. I don't know how they're addressing it, but that is going to be the issue because everyone's going to be competing for kids.
That address your question?
Well,
Sort of, but
scores like that.
sort of, but not really. So it says that we must do this. I guess my question is this creating the wording that that fulfills that law that we were supposed to already be doing?
Yeah, so what this is doing is attempting to adopt open enrollment to allow you to receive kids, but not allow your own students to leave to go outside of districts to attend open enrollment schools as a way to try to prevent that expense that you can't anticipate. That's what this is attempting to do. We know the legislature is in the process of trying to enact some form of universal open enrollment, which has never existed in New Hampshire. It's still in its early stages. It hasn't been through the House. It hasn't been vetted. It's still kind of premature to know what the outcome will be. This accomplishes what the current law requires.
That's what I was.
Do you have a question, Tim?
I do.
Go ahead.
So the school board thinks that saying 0% is the best thing for the students in the town of Wakefield. Nobody should ever leave. Ever.
Go ahead.
So that's not factual. So currently we have what's called best interest. So if a parent feels that it is not in their best interest for a student to attend our school district, they could petition me and provide me with the information that shows why their student should be going to another district. If I don't agree with them, then they have the right to go to a manifestation hardship to the board and present their information to the board. So they do have an avenue if they don't want to. So it's just saying under open enrollment, they're saying no, but they still have that avenue of best interest in manifestation. So it's not a no, not every child can. We do have currently some students that do not attend Paul's school because of best interest or because of manifestation hardship.
So if I'm going to say this because this is like, I don't even have children and this makes me cringe. Children are not little bundles of money.
Correct.
While many people think of every little child as a little bundle of money, and we'd love to see more little bundles of money come into the town to offset our spending, but now we don't want to let the little bundles of money go and be best for the little bundle of money. There is not always a chance and a time and a length of months or whatever the time frame of a process when a child's being bullied and that parent makes the best decision for that child to pull them from this school and send them to that school. And that is what open enrollment allows, to allow the parent to make the decision, not you, not the school board, not the Department of Education, but the parent of the student, that little bundle of money that everybody likes to refer to all the time, to make the decision. The law in the state of New Hampshire allows open enrollment. This article says that this school board says 0% of the children in this town should be allowed to have their parents make the decision if the Paul school is the only choice unless they jump through hoops for their child, even though state law says differently. We all don't know, we don't have local control in the state of New Hampshire. That all just makes us feel good when we say it. Oh, local control, local control. This is a Dillon rule state. The state dictates what the town can do, not the other way around. This is not like the United States of America where there are a bunch of states that make up the country. This is a state that dictates to our town what we can and can't do. And they have said open enrollment for all children.
Tom?
One of the things that I want to do, and if parents are worried about their child being bullied, there are other avenues to take. And one of the things is for parents to start stepping up and being a parent.
Yes.
I think some of these kids that have been bullied, they can be helped in other ways. Other than taking money from taxpayers and sending them to another school. It's quite possible that the child is going to be bullied at the other school just as much as they were bullied at this.
I gotta let Bob chime in
So
here, Tammy.
Let me just give a little bit of clarity on how it works currently. in the case of bullying, there is a process in place to make sure that kid gets the best education possible. So this is not about if a kid's bullying, we're giving the parents freedom to send their kid to another district. We do have cases where if a child's affected, the school administrators, the school board, and everybody want to do what's best for that child to make sure they get the best education possible. That's why we talk about a ton of spending for special education and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to send kids elsewhere. Nobody's trying to keep the kid here. We're talking about, we have to consider every kid in every situation in town. The scary thing about open enrollment, if it becomes a free market, is that there are not all kids will have the ability or the privilege to have their parents take them to Portsmouth or Londonderry or one of the best schools in the state. They're here. And by allowing kids to just go wherever and their money to follow them wherever, we're creating a situation that's going to be a heavier burden on the townspeople in Wakefield because they're going to have to help a smaller population of kids that don't have those privileges afforded to them naturally. So we're looking out for everybody. There is a current process in place if you don't want your child to go to the Paul school because they, they just, for whatever reason, you can petition, you can go through the steps. We do it and they go elsewhere. But like everything else, there needs to be a process or it goes haywire. So basically what I'm trying to say is that we care about all the kids. We're not looking at bundles of money. And it's the fact that we have to spend money on everything in our lives. We had to spend money to even drive here today. You have to connect the fact that educating a child comes with a cost. And we have to look at the fact that towns' budgets, unfortunately in the state of New Hampshire, the bigger issue is not for us to sit here and debate open enrollment in our town. The bigger issue is we need to have parents going to the state and saying, why doesn't the state provide more money for education to the towns? Why is the burden falling on Wakefield? That's where the real problem is. So we have a duty to look at it globally, and that's what we're doing. And
Okay, I've got another question. Timmy, hold on, Josh.
I just have a quick question. So if it's two questions I have. So if a parent wanted to send their student to a private school, they're able to do that no matter what. Is that correct? And they would pay that tuition.
They would.
That is correct. No matter what this passes or not, they can take their kid and go to Portsmouth tomorrow and enroll them in the school, which I probably would with these proficiency schools ratings, but in any event, they're able to do that even when we pass that. Is that correct?
Even under the current state RSA, it doesn't discriminate.
Exactly.
between
So
public
parents can
and
always
private.
take their kid to another school district and pay to go to a private school.
Yep.
So that option is always available to parents.
Mhm.
My second one is just a follow-up to, I find it a dubious claim that there's a process for kids that maybe need to go to a different school. I have multiple friends with kids in the Paul school that excel at any of these proficiencies and have come to the school board and have got shot down. And you guys could make up any reason that you wanted to and say they're not mature enough to go to a different, or to skip classes, or to go to an advanced class school or anything like that. So the process itself could be broken a little bit, and maybe want to keep that money here sometimes. But at the end of the day, I mean, the kid's education is the most important thing.
Well, first of all, I will tell you in the last few years, I have not had a case that talked
have
about an
evidence.
excelling student that was going elsewhere. We look at every case and we do what's best for the child. There's no nefarious reasons, and we're not trying to keep money in town. And I don't think it's appropriate to put that on camera, that we're just trying to keep money in at the
When
Paul
it's
school.
facts.
Okay, let's hold that back and forth. That's what I want to avoid. Is your question been answered, Josh?
Yes, thank you very much.
I'd just like a clarification because this gentleman brings up a very valid point, and I don't think that what I was saying is what you were referring to. When a child leaves currently under open enrollment, Wakefield would pay the same amount of money that they're paying now. If our cost per student is $20,000 a year and they go to another town, aren't we paying that other town the $20,000 plus any special ed money?
Go ahead and answer.
Currently, Wakefield does not have open enrollment. So if a child is to leave for manifestation, then there is a contract that is done between me, myself, my board, and that superintendent and their board of a cost of what it would cost. And then we would pay the cost for that child to attend.
But in this article, it says we're not going to allow any parent to make the voluntary choice. And his concern is he's paying for this. But wouldn't he, in the scenario, if under regular open enrollment, the amount of money he's paying in taxes per student doesn't change whether they're here or there?
That, I would say that's not factual because it's still going to cost me money to run the building, right? So that
I'm not
cost
saying
is not
about the building, I'm
changed.
talking about the student.
Correct, but if
I
we had-
understand.
So if I had 20 students leave,
Mhm.
I still have to, it's still going to cost me the same to have the lights on, to have special ed services, to have all of that stuff. So I can't say to a student, well, just because we don't have X amount, you're not going to get these specialized classes or these enrichment classes. I still have to offer the same things to students. So it would affect the townspeople.
It could affect, but what trying to say is the money for that student, for Johnny, doesn't change. Johnny specifically. Everybody's talking about the building and the system. I'm talking about Johnny and only Johnny and making sure Johnny gets the best education that works for him.
If you're talking one student versus 100, that's different. If you're talking one student versus 10, that's different.
Okay.
Tammy, are you satisfied? It's a very, listen, this is the time to discuss it, right? This is the public forum, and that's why I'm letting it go. It's very confusing to me. I'm sure they've done due diligence on their side.
Okay.
Bob? Doesn't, maybe could be at like grade right now, it's in fourth grade.
And both.
And they tried to get her
Buddy,
placed at another school.
Oh, you want to? Okay.
Oh.
You.
So they can just kind of.
Come on, Bonnie. That's more. Everybody get the minute?
I parked at Lino's.
January 13th.
At Lino's. I had to park at Lino's.
I was debating the way it's.
Yes, thank you, Jim. I'll be looking forward to your bill.
We're gonna just, thanks. Gonna vote on those minutes.
We got the meeting.
We just need enough people to